Well, hello and welcome. I hope you are all well. Yes, it's I think it's Wednesday night, isn't it? I don't know. I've lost track of time. 4 minutes away from curfew, and it's very quiet outside, just the way I like it. Oh, no cars. It's beautiful. So I hope you've had a good day, or that you're going to have a good day today. Oh, boy, what a day. So the ABC and the Chirstian Porter's lawyers were back in court today. Hello, David. With the ABC. I don't know whether anyone's seen Friendlyjordies Twitter exchange with National Party member Wes Fang. He has gone to town today. Yeah. There's been a big Twitter thing between him and Wes. It's been quite hilarious to watch. Katie Joy has gone off on Twitter. Something I think somebody counted 50 plus again tweets today, all on the same topic. Hello, Lorna. How are you? Welcome. So it's been a busy day. So busy I can't keep up with it all. It's almost like I've got to nearly hire someone to do all the Wes isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, says Big Bad Ads. Well, I'm starting to figure that out. I know that in one of the responses to Wes, somebody wanted to know whether they had to do – I was reading Wes Fang's Twitter profile before, and in response – somebody asked Wes whether they needed to pass an intelligence test to get into the National Party, and I thought that was quite interesting. I thought I had a bit of a laugh at that to say. And someone pointed out that he's got 1,000 Twitter followers and Friendlyjordies has got tens of thousands. So who's more valuable? Hello, Short Order Cook. How are you today? So let's start at the start. So I put Chirstian Porter as the first thing on the agenda. So he got the unredacted. He wants to protect his reputation. This is really complicated, and you're probably going spit it out, spit it out, spit it out. Because when I tell you what he went to court for, you'll think it is so ridiculous and stupid. So he wants to protect his reputation by ensuring that none of the media talk about what the ABC filed in the defence. That is what that is about. He doesn't want anybody to talk about why he sued for defamation. Okay? Yes. That ridiculous. That ridiculous. Like, it is so ridiculous. There were a couple of really good points that came out of the so Nine and News Corp went to court today to say it was absolutely ridiculous, because everybody knows about the story now and we're not going to forget about it. So here we go. Let's have a look. Because people might think differently of him. Seriously, how much more can we think of him? So Chirstian Porter has been accused of seeking a de facto suppression order to protect his reputation as he fights to bar media companies from reporting on confidential parts of the ABC's defamation case. Well, fortunately, I'm not a journalist. I'm a commentary channel, and so I can commentate on it, and I actually have the redacted defence. The tussle over the court documents between the former Attorney General and media giants Nine and News Corp continued in the federal court today, despite Mr. Porter settling his case over a week ago. The media outlet's lawyers have had the unredacted defence since May, after intervening in the high-profile defamation case to fight against proposed suppression orders. So they have the unredacted defence. The redacted defence is on the file. He wants he's got the unredacted defence taken out of the court file, and now he doesn't want the media to talk about what's in that unredacted defence. Now the West Australian MP is seeking a declaration that the outlets will not use the documents for any purpose other than their intervention in the case under a rule known as the Hearn and Street obligation. Nine lawyer Laura Alec said on Wednesday this was a gross distortion of why Hearn and Street law was originally created. Mr. Porter, this is really good. This is a really good, I like this line. Mr. Porter is seeking a safeguard over the ABC's defence, not because he owns it, but because he doesn't like what's in it, she told the federal court. So he doesn't like what's in it. He doesn't like the defence the ABC filed, because remember they filed truth. So not only does he want it taken out of the court file, he doesn't want the media to report on it. Mr. Porter sued the national broadcaster over a story earlier this year by journalist Louise Milligan, alleging an unnamed senior minister was the subject of a historical allegation. Following intense public speculation, Mr. Porter publicly outed himself as the accused minister and strongly denied the allegation. No charges have ever been laid. Now, the Minister for Industry discontinued the defamation case on August 9 after settling with the ABC and the parties jointly asked for the unredacted defence and Mr. Porter's reply to remove from the court file. So remember, so it's been removed from the court file, but the news agencies have the unredacted copy, so he doesn't want them to talk on it. Hello, the Fox. Hello, Bo. Hello, Stratman. Justice Jagot ordered the removal, saying it was necessary to protect the proper administration of justice and had nothing to do with the powerful status of the former Attorney General and national broadcaster. The judge also indicated she would revoke a suppression order over the unredacted documents, effectively meaning their contents could be published, but without the protection from defamation that generally accompanies fair reporting of court cases. So, Lorna, you are correct, Lorna. It does, doesn't it? So here's the thing. If Porter loses in court and the news agencies do report what the unredacted copy, he then could sue them for defamation again. So her ruling left open the question of whether Nine and News Corp can report on the documents once the suppression order is lifted. Hello, Plan to Create. Mr. Porter's lawyer, barrister Barry Dean, said the way in which the outlets had obtained the documents, Mr. Porter being compelled to hand them over under court processes, meant they could only use them for the case itself. So even though they've got them, they're not allowed to report on them. This is what Porter's trying to stop them from reporting on what's in those documents. And if they report on those documents, the news outlets want to guarantee from the judge that they're not going to get sued again for defamation. This is just one great big circle. Can you see we're just going around in circles here? This is so confusing. He said the companies had responded with vagueness when Mr. Porter requested they destroy the documents on August 4 and ask if they acknowledged the Hearn versus Street obligation on August 10. This prompted the request for a court order, though the obligation exists regardless, Mr. Dean said. Ms. Alex said the obligation did not apply to the defence in reply. Mr. Porter was never compelled to hand them over, and the minister, a lawyer himself, knew full well the risk to reputation that comes with suing somebody. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't laugh. She said the original purpose of Hearn versus Street rule was to give a party in a lawsuit the right to keep documents to itself, not allow people to protect themselves from other party documents. Ms. Alec also argued Mr. Porter was seeking a de facto suppression order and effectively asking the court to protect his reputation without proper basis. They are short order, okay? Forget about the real criminals. They're filled up with politicians at the moment. In response, Justice Jagot laughed and said that she had been saying from the beginning, this is all about suppression. Never mind, we're still here, but we do want this all over at some point, she said. Miss Alec added that if Justice Jagot found the media outlets were obliged not to use the defence, she would also have to find it could not be used by the South Australian coroner who is investigating Mr. Porter's accuser's death. This is where it's going to get complicated. The woman died by suicide in June 2020, one day after she emailed police to say she did not go ahead with her complaint about Mr. Porter. Now, Justice Jagot had actually ruled that the South Australian coroner could be in possession of the unredacted court file. Now, if Mr. Porter is saying that what Mr. Porter is trying to do is to get people that have the unredacted version not to act on it, so the justice's decision could actually affect a coronial investigation. Isn't this, it's a mess. The alleged incident reported by the ABC said to have occurred in 1988 when Mr. Porter was 17 and the woman 16, and Justice Jagot reserved her decision. So I was in class at the time and I had my iPad watching the court. If Porter innocent, why is he worried about these documents unless it proves there is wrongdoing, in my opinion? The Fox, that's a question that's crossed my mind. Why is he so hell-bent in getting the documents removed and having nobody talking about them if he's innocent? That is my question. My question exactly. So the ABC didn't attend this hearing. This isn't their fight, even though it's under Porter versus ABC. This is really just News Corp and Nine at the moment. So, yes, the coroner of South Australia has the unredacted. I think it's a she. I think the coroner of South Australia is a she. So she can make a professional qualified decision, because in the defence, because they pled truth, there was all, I believe, what is believed to be in there is all the transcripts, or a lot more of the transcripts taken between Louise Milligan and all of the victims' witnesses and all the friends around that time. It all relates around that 7:30 report. And because that all came out in the Joanne Dyer matter as well, and Sue Chrysanthemum. So, but the fact of the matter is, as the lawyer for Nine and News Corp said, that if the media outlets can't use it, then she's going to have to say the South Australian coroner can't use it, which again is going to affect a coronial inquest. Because what happens then if the South Australian coroner then says that there needs to be an investigation? Then we've got another great big mess, and it's all been hampered by the federal court. I just don't understand it. There has to be something in that defence that has him running. Because otherwise, why would you care? I just don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. If somebody can explain it to me, make it make sense, please do. Because it's not making any sense to me. Oh dear. All right, so that's what happened in court today, and that was done. So it started at 10:30. It was all over Red Rover by 12 o'clock. Justice Jagot had decided she was going to go and think about the decision. She said everyone be notified when there is a decision made. So don't know when that's going to be, but don't know. Now, someone did send me an article to say that Chirstian Porter did actually put Justice Jagot into her position. And so there is a theory out there that she has a conflict of interest, although it's never been officially done. But unofficially, people think that she owes him. But I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying any of that at the time, but that's just some of the conspiracy theories that are going around. So Portaloo is worried about being. Well, I found out it was in the defence. It was in the Dyer when we were going through the documentation that was released with the Dyer thing that he's been married twice. So he's been married twice. Not that that means anything, but apparently both of the ex-wives now have had the same complaint about him. So it was just a very interesting thing that was put into those documentation. So, all right. So let's look. I have a couple of questions about our thing for Afghanistan too. I don't know whether you've kept up with Australia's effort. It was a bit disappointing. Did anyone hear about that today? So we sent our RAAF plane over. The plane had a capacity of 123 people. How many people do you think we brought back? We took to Dubai? Give you a hint. Yeah, but why is he trying to keep it quiet, Graham? That's what I don't want. That's what I want to know. How many people do you think they get an RAAF plane that holds 120 people, 123 people? Australian Air Force flies in. How many people? Yeah, you know the Fox. I mean, the Americans filled their plane with 650 and could only take 120. It's very disappointing because now they've got to go back again. Where are we? So it says they've said the chaotic and dangerous security situation in Kabul is posing stiff challenges to the federal government's evacuation mission in Afghanistan, with some Australians missing the first emergency flight out of the country because they could not reach the airport. Afghan interpreters who worked for the Australian soldiers who are desperate to leave the country are pleading with the government to get them out. Pleading to help them clear Taliban security checkpoints. The disorder highlights the formidable security and logistical challenges faced by the Australian soldiers and officials leading the mission. How come every other country has been able to get in and out and have no problems, but it's the Australians that seem to have issues? The ABC has spoken to an Afghan Australian who said his mother and sister both tried to reach the airport for the first flight, which carried 26 people out. They were told to go to the airport as there were flights scheduled last night. The thing is, it's impossible for them to enter the airport, he told the ABC. The crowds outside are chaotic. They tried but failed, as it's difficult for them to manage themselves past the crowds, gunfire, and even small explosions. Well, I would have thought that it would have been, as long as they were part of the United Nations effort there, that they could have just got a flight and they sorted all out in Dubai. The ABC has also obtained an email sent by an Australian official to some passengers who were trying to reach the plane, warning them they would be unable to access the tarmac because the airport's northern gate had been temporarily closed due to a security incident. We are working to obtain further instructions on how those who registered for this flight can gain access to the airport for another flight. We do not have confirmed details of another flight at this time, but we'll contact you as soon as we have more information. So the uncertainty has led several Afghan Australians and Australian visa holders to plead with the Australian government to provide escorts for those who are worried they'll be unable to get through the checkpoints. The Australians who spoke to the ABC about his mother and sister said he did not think he'd be able to get to the plane without help. The only thing that could help is a professional escort because they can't get to the airport. It's too chaotic. Then here, I don't want to show it, but it's saying a Taliban fighter is shooting a man trying to enter the Kabul airport. So someone else is an Australian visa holder, told the ABC he tried to pass the Taliban checkpoint, but was stopped because the militant demanded he be accompanied by a foreign official. There was a rush of people at the airport, and the Taliban were in the checkpoint of the airport gate. Taliban didn't allow anyone without any foreign escort. I told him I have a visa, but they were not able to read. The Afghan who said he worked with the Australian Defence Force at camp and other units urged the Australian government to contact visa holders directly so that they could arrange to be let inside the airport. We need to be evacuated, and there should be someone to get us inside the airport. So the first ADF evacuation flight from Afghanistan landed at a military base in the UAE on Wednesday. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said Australian citizens, Afghan nationals with visa, and one foreign official working in an international agency were on the evacuation flight. Mr. Morrison said more flights would be organised into the Taliban-held Afghan capital in the coming days. This was the first of what will be many flights subject to clearance and wet. So I just don't know why it was so poorly executed. Anyway, I don't know. It's very disappointing to think that they could only get 26 people out. So you know, like it says, Foreign Minister Maurice Payne acknowledged the environment around the airport was very complex and fluid, and urged the Taliban to provide safe passage to anyone who wanted to leave Afghanistan. I thought they had too short order cook. Well, obviously, they all need to be there. If all the countries were there together, they could actually take control of the airport together and get as many out as they can. Because I thought you'd all hit it at the same time. Maybe. See, the Americans the other day took 650. Only had room for 100 and something, but took 650 people. And yet we had room for 123 and only took 26. That just... that's not a bad point, Graham. That could be true. Oh, really? I bet he is. Cal, I bet he is. I just saw here, when I was here, Howard putting his 2 bobs to us, because he was the Australian Prime Minister at the time that we went. Where are we? Wasn't it Bush as well? Where are we? Oh, Afghanistan not entirely a failure. Yes, that's not. Oh, and by the way, Australia's shared the love with New Zealand. New Zealand's now got COVID from Sydney. New Zealand's now in lockdown. I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny. It's not funny, but, you know. Afghanistan not entirely a failure, says John Howard, who first committed Australian troops. I don't know how you can say it wasn't a failure, because from my point of view, it looks like it's a failure because the Taliban have actually taken over. So he said the Prime Minister who first sent Australian forces to what would become their longest war told 7:30 the mission was not a failure because it stopped further 9/11 style attacks on the West being launched from Afghanistan. He could understand the argument that the war had been a failure because al-Qaeda operatives were still active in the country, but Mr. Howard, who was one of the first world leaders to pledge military support for the US-led campaign in 2001, said he did not agree. There are undoubtedly elements of al-Qaeda still in Afghanistan, and the Taliban, which on occasions is completely indistinguishable from al-Qaeda, is a very potent force, Mr. Howard said. But the truth is the great fear of the United States and Australia and the West after September 11 that there would be other attacks orchestrated out of Afghanistan. That has not materialized. So there you go. It is a disaster. It is a disaster. No one can accuse Gladys of not sharing. Well, you know, the Fox, you know how New South Wales likes to beat Victoria at something. Looks like they're going to beat us in case numbers too. I'm sorry, short order cook. I shouldn't be making jokes at New South Wales' expense. But, you know, I know, and that's the thing, Christine. I see a lot of men and not many women, and that's also heartbreaking as well, women and children. Well, the women are being left behind and being taken to marry off Taliban soldiers. So the other thing that's happened in Victoria today is that the majority, I think, how many cases were from children today? The majority of cases today were from children, and they've linked it to playgrounds. So hence why playgrounds are closed. So well, so last week there was news about the Premier of New South Wales, Gladys, being involved, and Brother's involvement with Daryl Maguire. Well, I think it's an airborne virus now, short order cook. So I know that in Victoria, they've been able to trace it to a playground where a lot of them have been. I'm telling you now, I am actually going to tell you we will still be in lockdown mid-September. I'm just letting you know that. I'm talking about Victoria here. So anyway, ICAC is now going to invest. So that's the thing, Christine. All the gains that women and girls have made in Afghanistan are just in vain. So they're investigating Daryl Maguire's involvement in a $5.5 million grant to the Shooting Association, which is going to be interesting because now we're going to see whether there's any implication of Braz and Gladys. So a senior New South Wales government official has publicly confirmed for the first time that the $5.5 million grant pursued by former MP Daryl Maguire is the focus of a corruption probe. Last week, 7:30 revealed that Premier Gladys Berejiklian intervened in the assessment of the $5.5 million grant to a shooting association in Daryl Maguire's electorate months after he'd written to her asking for assistance to fund the project. So for those of you that don't know, she wasn't Premier at the time, but she was having an affair with Daryl Maguire. And she maintained that she had no idea that he was corrupt. So a cache of new documents released to Parliament raised fresh questions about the Premier's role in facilitating grant that Mr Maguire stood to gain political benefit from at the same time she was secretly in a relationship with him. The document reveals Mr Maguire first wrote to Ms Berejiklian on behalf of the then CEO of the Clay Tugger Association on January 27, 2016, seeking funding from the New South Wales government. Mr Maguire is currently the subject of an extensive investigation. Oh, this sounds interesting. Into his business dealings, which is examining whether he misused his position as a statement MP. Ms Berejiklian said the proposition that you're putting is absolutely ridiculous, and second, all proper processes were followed, and that's all I'll say on the matter. In estimates hearing held by New South Wales Upper House, Greens MLC David Shoebridge questioned Kate Boyd, a Deputy Secretary with the Department of Premier and Cabinet, about the process of awarding the grant. Ms Boyd said, "I don't think it would be appropriate for us to comment on the substance of the matters that are clearly currently under investigation by ICAC. I believe this matter is one of them, so I would say that you defer any questions on that." She declined to provide any further information on the grant process and the basis the investigation was ongoing. So, hello, Cal. And then they go, 7:30 is not suggesting they are investigating the Premier herself, because remember they got in trouble with Mr Porter. So they're not saying the ICAC is investigating her. but they're investigating him. So she said, in the event ICAC had concerns about Ms. Berejiklian's role in administrating this grant, they would be notifying her. Ms. Berejiklian has previously said the Premier was not under investigation, nor was she adversely affected person for the purpose of the ICAC investigation. So, well, it's interesting. I was reading a document today that Israel is 78% vaccinated. And they've got, at the moment, they've got the virus running rampant and they don't know what to do. They're trying to get in booster shots for everybody at the moment. So what do you reckon about this? Do you reckon Gladys will get caught? And is that why Gladys hasn't got her mind on the COVID game? Did anyone see the New South Wales press conference where the health officer, she was saying, the Premier is really good, but she was shaking her head? I've said, Christine, I think it's the whole I think that the whole of Australia needs to be locked down for a few months just to try and get rid of it. I heard on the news that people need a booster 8 months. Well, considering that we haven't even, we're not even going to get our first round done before the end of the year. Yeah, look, I've been hearing that as well. What I was reading, I was actually reading from a science magazine. I was reading from a science journal. Yes, I know. I get my facts from a science journal. They were saying that Israel, a lot of the world was watching Israel to see what the effect would have on the variant because, so this is it. This is Science Mag. And that laughing you can hear is my son. So this is what this says. Oh, you saw it too, Plan to Create? I thought, I've done all this body language stuff, and she's shaking her head. Dr. Chant is saying, Gladys is doing a really good job. I'm really happy with her. Are you in the COVID booster trial? That's cool. Yeah, that was funny, watching Dr. Chant. I'm really happy. Oh, really? Orthodox Jews won't get vaccinated? That's interesting, Jenna, because the party the other day that caused our extended lockdown were from Orthodox Jews, and the Jewish Association have come out and asked them all to get vaccinated. So the Israeli Minister of Health said he got a booster on the 13th of August, the day his country became the first nation to offer a third dose of vaccine to people as young as 50. So he's talking about it being a race. Now, whose Prime Minister said it's not a race? Hey, Ian, everybody, you can, your laugh can be heard in America. Did you hear that? I just told my son his laugh could be heard in America. And he goes, that's nice. Oh, and the UK. All right. So it says 78% of those 12 or older are fully vaccinated, with the vast majority of the Pfizer. Yet the country is now logging one of the world's highest infection rates, with nearly 650 new cases daily per million people. More than half are fully vaccinated. More than half are fully vaccinated, underscoring extraordinary transmissibility of the Delta variant and stoking concerns that the benefits of the vaccination ebb over time. So, Israel is being very closely watched. They were one of the first countries to out the gate with vaccinations starting in December 2020. The nation of 9.3 million has had a robust public health infrastructure. So the effects of the waning immunity may be beginning to show in Israelis vaccinated in early winter. A preprint published last month by physician Carlton and colleagues at KSM, the research arm of the MHS, found that the protection from COVID-19 infection during June and July dropped in the proportion to the length of time. Oh, yeah. So he's got my laugh. People vaccinated in January had a 2.26 times greater risk of a breakthrough infection than those vaccinated in April. So, at the same time, cases in the country which were scarcely registering at the start of summer had been doubling every day to 10 days since. You know what, Plan to Create? I certainly believe that. I would hate to be in Dr. Chant's shoes at the moment. So, so anyway, so Israel at the moment are trying to get their boosters out to see whether they can, yet boosters are unlikely to tame a Delta surge on their own. A biomedical data scientist in Israel, the current surge is so steep that even if you get 2/3 of those 60 plus boosted, it just gives us another week, maybe 2 weeks until our hospitals are flooded, he says. It's also critical to vaccinate those who haven't received their first or second doses and to return to masking and social distancing Israel thought it had left behind, but has had to reinstate. So they're having to reinstate all, so masking and social distancing, despite the fact that 78% of the country is actually vaccinated. So I get very concerned when I hear them say, we've got to vaccinate our way through, because Israel's showing us that it's what's happening in Israel at the moment is really ringing alarm bells for me. But that's why I don't like going out. All right, I'll have to just grab the meme. Just give me a minute. I will need to find the footage of Dr. Chant, because that was classic footage. Just he's asking the question. No, the Premier's taking all the advice. I'm not disappointed with the Premier. Hospitals in New South Wales. Oh dear. All right, here's the meme. Sorry to all of those in New South Wales. It says, I am gold standard Gladys, and we will do this in New South Wales way. And Dr. Chant saying, and I keep telling you the only way to do this is a proper lockdown as they did in Victoria. Stop the blame game and petty politics and do your job and actively follow the health advice. It's true. It is true. But I was really shocked because I read on Twitter during my lunch break that in between my classes that there was a journalist that was actually applauded for tough questions, and then they said that was a Sky News journalist, which was really unusual, and they wanted to know what was wrong with him. That he was asking the doctor the tough questions. So, well, they hit, what did they hit, 600 today? There was a rumour a couple of days ago that she'd resigned, Dr. Chant. Oh, yeah, here we go. We're going to watch this video. Well, we've also got a Legionnaire's disease outbreak in parts of Melbourne as well. They're trying to trace as well. It's just a mess. It really is a mess. All right. So for all of you in America, and you're impartial, This is the Chief Health Officer of New South Wales. All right. Oh, no, I thought the sky was falling, the fox. The sky is falling. Have a watch of this and tell me what you think. It's had 8,000 views. I'll make it bigger. Sky News has been more correct than most. I can't stand some of them. If you can't comment on the vids, I won't watch them. Sorry, Dal, but if you want to talk and debate hard questions globally, you can't giggle about it, girl. True.
The Premier is very committed to achieving the same outcomes. We have a shared vision. I can't restate that. I can't comment any further than say the Premier, in all my discussions with her, is absolutely committed. The Premier.
The head shake, all the body language stuff. I don't think I've ever heard Dr. Chant really stuck for words as well. So, yeah. I'd say Dr. Chant's feeling the pressure. I actually feel sorry for the Chos, because it's just what a, particularly if it is true and her health advice isn't being offered. I know that they asked Victoria's Cho about Dr. Chant, and he said that he'd spoken to her. Well, sure, Order Cook, I agree with you. She should speak her mind, because it sounded like she was it sounded like she was desperately trying to speak her mind, but she couldn't. But anyway. All right. So let's get, but the New South Wales, yeah, is losing grip, and yeah, New Zealand's now got 6 or 7 cases. Yeah, so it's moved to younger groups. Let me find the breakdown. I did see a breakdown. Ages of, which is why they closed the playgrounds, because they were able to link them to playgrounds in Victoria. I did read somewhere that last year Sutton and Andrews had a few heated exchanges. But the other thing is that if you notice, Andrews will always say, based on health advice, so he always puts it squarely onto Sutton's shoulders. So in some way, I'm just trying to see. I saw the ages today. Where did I see them? Oh. All right. "56 of the cases." Okay, so we've got, there are currently 246 active coronavirus cases in Victoria, probably Melbourne because Melbourne's locked down. 56 under the age of 9 and 55 between 10 and 19. So the majority now are actually under 9, and they've been able to, the reason why they closed the playgrounds is because they've discovered they've got 110 young people, and they're suspecting that the playground is a transmission place. So they've closed playgrounds now. So there were 10 cases linked to Al-Taqwa College, 3 students and 7 household contacts. So these were today's. There are 4 contents that linked to Glenroy West Primary School or household, shopping centre, a football, 2 cases of residents from a Lygon Street tower, 1 case linked to the Western Autistic School in Laverton. So schools are the main, this is the thing, schools are the main breeding grounds, schools and playgrounds. 4 cases unlinked. So there's 2 in Altona North, 1 in Glenroy, 1 teenager, 1 from Glen Ira who works in a pizza shop. See, vaxxed, yeah. So, and this is the exposure sites now. It's spread. In a week, it's spread. So it's not good. And at the moment, it seems to be confined in the metropolitan area, which is why there is a ring of steel between regional and the city. So there you go. But yeah, it's getting into children under 9. And that's the biggest concern. I think I did hear that there was a couple of kids in ICU, but none are on ventilators. They're just in ICU. So, but see, they're saying, why have you got childcare centres open, but you have playgrounds closed? And so their argument is that childcare centres have staff that clean and it's regulated, where a playground, how are you going to have an outdoor playground? How are you going to, you're going to have someone there the whole time. When we were at the tennis, every time somebody used the toilet, we actually had to clean the toilet. That's how pedantic it was. You would have to literally have someone standing at the park. Yeah. So I don't know. All right. I'm leaving Katie George till last, just in case you're wondering. Thank you, Cal. The US had 20 years to train Afghan military to stand up and fight the Taliban. As soon as the US left, they did nothing. Well, that's my point. Is they just seem to collapse. Were they too reliant, or didn't they train them up properly? Okay. This is. Oh, hello, Laurie. Thank you very much. It's very, very generous of you. Seriously, it is. It really is. Really appreciate it. So this is today. So this is Wes Fang on Twitter. Hypocrite Helen Dalton. Seems Helen Dalton has some questions to answer. I look forward to the Friendlyjordies investigation and coverage on MP in the morning. You can read the Weekly Times article here. So she replies, yes, Yep, read the article. When farmers sell water, we don't know who buys it. It's all secret. New South Wales brokers don't tell sellers who the buyer is. That's why I introduced a bill for public water register. Why did the National Party vote against my bill 3 times? And then he replies, but Helen, the info is public. That's how it was found. Why didn't you stipulate you wanted your water sold in the Southern Basin to other farmers? You could have done that. You took the profit. You voted against the MP register and having to declare your trades. So it says, let's see, lies, check, misinformation, check, dodging the question, Helen proposed, check. You really believe in the Bruz playbook, don't you? This needs to be a thing, the Bruz playbook. I love the lack of understanding of the current crop of nationals. Question, Wes, who is the National Water Minister and Party, and what river is this? Nice own goal here, Wesley. Hey, Wes, good of you to be talking to Friendlyjordies re water sales and profiteering. This is such an important issue. Good on you for shedding light on it and who's selling water to who. Given it was published in the Weekly Times, it already lacks credibility. I'm glad that I can't read it. Oops. I'll tell you, military answer. My dad is past 2 years. No, it's the military being needed, but that's him as a veteran. Please don't get mad. No, I'm not mad. Your dad was entitled to his opinion. And then next vet decide, well, I mean, there's now lots of angry veterans who think all their mates died in vain after this. What a huge waste. Fun fact, Twitter has added the report function for misleading information, can even mark it as political. It's a test run for this month. Who is your water daddy? I remember the Nationals used to represent farmers because they were, well, underrepresented on the national stage, fighting the fight for the silent minority. Now it seems they only represent farmers who are wealthy enough to pay for that support, whereas you need to quit Twitter. So I'm waiting to see where Jordan's response was because he had some good ones. Yeah, you've heard vets say that too? Yeah. It's really sad, isn't it, when they go that they're friends. Says, hey, Wes Fang, have you stopped to think why they asked you to pick a fight with Friendlyjordies? Maybe it's because you're expendable. Then it says, what a horrible, so Friendlyjordies, because kids in hotspot areas deserve the chance to finish their HSCs, get a good job or extend their education so they end up less likely to believe the BS that flows from people like you. That was one of his responses to Friendlyjordies about why the vaccines were going from the country to the city. So someone says to Wes Fang, you're not the sharpest tool in the shed, are you? All right, so let's go back to Friendlyjordies and see what he had to say on the matter. Thank you, Laurie. It's so nice of you. So lovely. Good morning, peeps. Yes, so that's my son you can hear in the background. All right. So and Marcus in the morning says, so Wes Fang, I'm more than happy to facilitate a live radio debate between you and Helen Dalton anytime. Say next Wednesday just after 7:30 a.m. or you can call in at any time. Here's Jordan. Little Wes Fang attempted to slander Helen Dalton, yet when it failed, he shut down comments. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. Reminds me of someone he works for. Oh, no. He is going off. Wes Fang still supports the National Party's decision to take vaccines away from regional New South Wales. even as the virus spreads across the rest of New South Wales as country people wait weeks for vaccine appointments. So, so Wes Fang then says to Jordan, that's a touch arrogant, isn't it? Like you're actually somebody special who is going to enlighten me instead of the New South Wales Labor hack you are, who just constantly attacks the government. Don't get caught up in your own importance. To that, he writes, surely it's more arrogant to ride me off as a Labor hack when you yourself admit you're too busy watching kids' TV shows to watch my content, specifically content that directly pertains to your job, as I interview an Indigenous Land Council chair, a mayor, a CEO of New South Wales, etc. Because he said, I've got a whole season of The Mandalorian. I haven't had time to watch it. I'll be watching that well before I view any that you've produced. Come on, Little Wes, you don't want to gain some knowledge. It would really help with your job, I reckon, seeing as you're a politician. Maybe if you watched it, Little Wes Fang, you'd stop making really stupid points and embarrassing yourself so much. Little Wes, I time-stamped you. The trades are public. Do I need to get my coloured crayons out for you to understand this? That's how they are found. It's not like Helen Dalton volunteered. She's hypocritical. She's a hypocrite. So there you go. So, and then he goes, good idea, Wes. I'll start my investigation now. Hey, Helen Dalton, why do you think Wes Fang wants to keep water ownership secret, making it difficult for you to know who is buying your water? So he went in tough and hard. So what do you reckon about Jordan, eh? Do you reckon he could have another lawsuit? Do you reckon they'll go after him again? He's going in hard at the moment. Right, see you, Jenna. See you soon. Oops. Oh, I forgot I had the window open. Tell you what, he's not scared, is he, Jordan? He's really going for it. All right. So today, Katie Joy says that she didn't get served the lawsuit, then proceeds to say she got served, to say she got the lawsuit. Then she said, oh, it's just so confusing. So she talked about this thing called hip pocket service. So we're going to talk about Katie Joy now. Minnesota has a hip pocket service. Apparently it's unique to Minnesota. So it's given flexibility regarding timeline of service. In Minnesota, a person can be served without any document being filed in the court. This is known as hip pocket service. So, and then it can be filed later. So it seems that, oh, really? I didn't see that. Well, really? Well, maybe we might have a look at it, Christine. I watched the first 3 minutes of her live and I switched off. This is boring. So she says, will be appointments today, doing parenting stuff. Videos will be delayed until later today. So she talked about this hip pocket service. So you can actually serve somebody without it going to court, and that goes to court later. Apparently Minnesota likes you to talk between the two parties before it goes to court. So that's what it's about. Cease and desist, injunction relief sounds great. Please stop talking about me and remove your content about me. Sounds like a deal. Well, I would say that it would need to be mutual. It would need to be mutual. But I didn't watch KJ's live stream. That's all right. You didn't miss much. If we enter into a new agreement, mutual cease and desist, this means your contents about me stops. Your revenue you make talking about me stops. Will you stop? I've always wanted to know. It's you that can't stop talking about me, not the other way around, in my humble opinion. He won't stop. He didn't stop last time. He just got sneaky about it. He's obsessed. Katie, he and the others are addicted to you. I think stopping will take a long stint in inpatient rehab. I wish I was joking. I think the addiction is to your attentions. He steals both from whomever he can. He won't stop without either legal or psychological intervention. Wow. I switch off on Katie Joy. Why is her case relevant? Because a lot of my original subscribers, Cal, are ex-subs of hers and they have an interest, which is why I leave her till the end. I deal with everything else first and then we deal with Katie Joy, because all the people coming are generally coming on from about the US. So that's why. And yeah. Won't stop with the RL consequences. The only deal he publicly admits he was SH, admits to fake SS, names the creator, admits he convinced people to lie about you for monetization, gives all the names in the conspiracy. He won't. Even with this, if you settle, his cult won't stop. So the accusation is that we're all in a cult, Cal. So a lot of us watched her, found that some of the stuff that she was saying was not very nice. She actually said on one live stream that if we didn't like what she was doing, we could. She challenged us to start our own channels. A lot of us did, and we started calling out all the things, all the hypocrisies, and really, yeah, you'll see. So. And this is her, so she's been on YouTube for 2 years, and this is her third lawsuit. And there's 4, 5, and 6 possibly coming. So you tell me if that's normal behavior. All right, so there's that one. Then she says, LOL, not one time have I been talking about Chrisley. Not one time. I'm dealing with someone else entirely. Because she's got Todd Chrisley getting a deposition from her. I can't stop laughing, apparently. It's funny. It's funny, apparently. She did share the news about her son. She did, and that's the thing. That's the other thing is Cal. She'll always share news about her son, and then when people ask about her, she goes off at them because they're asking about the son. What are people saying now? You're begging Todd Chrisley for mercy? No, she's probably building her case against SM by showing she told him stop and even gave him an amicable out. Does he realize the second restraining order is totally going to screw him? All right. And I apologize. I'm a little bit off my game tonight. So this is totally normal behavior. So yes, that happened. Steve McRae is suing that POS known as Katie Joy. Steve is sick of her defamation and is ready to ram it up her butt. The best part is he isn't the only one. This is a great day. You agree, Todd Chrisley? They're doing it on purpose, getting suits back to back. It's their last attack to silence you. No, he hasn't filed. You go get him. And then the rest of the cult. There is no Steve McRae cult. I just recently learnt who he was and despised KG Pulse long before that. The only cult leader is KJP. I dare you to make one less than butt-kissing comment and you'll be blocked immediately. That's a cult. You'll have to be into S&M to subscribe to her. They all talk like that. No, it's not normal. It's disturbing. I don't believe he's filed, but he has said that she's got to sit a deposition on the 1st of September. But he has said that he's looking into her. So now this is where she's talking about her son. 3 years post open heart surgery and the repair looks wonderful, minimal scar tissue build-up, and we are good for another year. Yeah, I think so. I'm just... but then when somebody else, no offense, but KJ is not important. Probably not, but all the people, Cal, that are coming in now will want to talk about this. So my channel started off basically talking about her. So the audacity of a man suing me for claiming I lied about the terms of a restraining order that I was granted against him. The TRO was granted and only dismissed pending my lawsuit against him. How can he use a TRO for a defamation case? This can't be legally possible. We agreed to dismiss the restraining order only because he signed an NDA. The judge did not dismiss the case because I lost. He falsely claimed on Twitter that I didn't want to go into a hearing. The absolute insanity of the legal system boggles me. I'm sure he was poking the bear about Todd Chrisley. Does anyone know whether Uni actually addressed the proof that I showed last night? I actually have to show the proof because I actually contacted the court. I've decided I'm not going to get the restraining order documents. I mean, it's nearly $200 Australian to get them. Then they have to be mailed to me, so I'd have to courier them. So I'm up to nearly $300. And I really, that's right, Cal. A lot of people found me because of KJ. And my whole purpose of contacting the court was to find out if the documents were available, not to get the documents. And I proved that KJ was lying. And that's really all I set out and achieved what I wanted to do. That there were public documents. There were 8 documents that are available for public. Yeah. So that was my only point. So I'm not going to get the documents. I really don't think I really want to. So you said my support is higher than ever. Hundreds, thousands of people want me to expose this woman. So again, this is months after you claimed statements I made harm you. Again, in your own words, your business was doing great. This is my thing. I'm not seeing any headers. I mean, I actually had harassment coming through telling me that my screenshots were faked. Hence why I actually revealed the full emails with the headers on them and everything, just to show people that it was true. This is a reminder of the man who was suing me. His bestie on the interwebs announced the lawsuit with the statement, Steve is sick of her defamation and is ready to ram it up her butt. Those words were Red's words, not mine. I guess I must be missing something because I've never heard defamation towards anyone on your channel. The cyber harassment against you continues even as their lawsuit. They've never... Well, it's funny he did a thing about the conference because his last one that I watched, he said that it was private and nobody could have access. And then he got tagged in my screenshots where they told me it was public. So I don't know whether he changed his tune. If you're so confident in your lawsuit, why haven't you filed it with the court? I'm certain Judge Halsey would love to see a TRO that he granted being used in a defamation lawsuit to claim the TRO injured their reputation. Oh, that's nice, Cal. You just don't care for KJ? That's all right. But thank you. I understand. Look, I have those moments. There are some days I don't cover her, but at the moment. So Oh, shut up, KJ. Your lies and clickbait for money days are coming to an end. It was funny, though, because we predicted that she was ready for another live stream, members-only live stream, and it happened. So Uni sits in the basement arguing with the breadstick. So now I have to say I've not seen anything from Steve. Steve's not said a word. So this is, again, like the Tardy lawsuit. She's just going off. KJ and the word defamation are more linked than Bart Simpson. I know it is, isn't it? My harassment order was granted under the full faith and credit for protection orders. I never asked for this to be granted this way. The judge ordered the order granted. What? Hang on. Wait on. My harassment order was granted under the full faith and credit for protection orders. I'm going to have to read this out word by word. I'll make it bigger so you can follow along with me because this makes no sense. I never asked for this to be granted this way. The judge ordered the order granted this way. I cannot control the choices a judge makes in granting the order. What on earth? What on earth? Can someone explain that to me? And then they're going, he doesn't understand it. Really? I can't work it out. We said a few months ago there was something being cooked up by her. Oh, of course, there was. But see, we also knew that when the NDA expired that we would have entertainment, and that's what we've got. I posted his parent breaking tweet and told TC and Steve we'll be waiting for this. So we knew that this was happening. Part of his lawsuit is that I took a harassment order against him and I defamed him by sharing how the judge ordered the harassment order under a specified act. A lawyer wrote this for him. A lawyer. Are we suing the lawyer? I can't believe a lawyer wrote that. Didn't his last lawyer agree to submit the garbage written by him and his cult? Some of the fines. She wants to talk about what a lawyer filed. She really wants to talk about what a lawyer filed. Do we have to go back and look at her defense for Tari? Hey, Joy, I know you like watching things about you, but can you please just shut up? His exhibits include me sharing my feelings about what has happened to me, but I guess it's defamation to say I've been afraid and scared because of the actions he's taken against me. That makes me a liar. I guess I'm not afraid. I think so. Well, that's right. He's not said a word. You got unsubbed, Tripping Gauntlet. Oh no. Hello. Several of exhibits have me clearly stating it's my opinion, and I guess is defamation today. Well, just because it's your opinion doesn't mean that it's not defamation. And it says, this will be the easiest win for you, Katie. That's what they said about Tari too. Is this true? I don't know. On his streams, Deb talks about Deb's lawsuit with KJP and says she's not going to outspend Todd Chrisley. Thanks for letting us know who's bankrolling. Ah, that's where that's come from. Josh Duggar's biggest mistake solidified the case against him. Who has a clip of the live stream where he said he's going to burn my channel to the ground? Well, he doesn't need to because you're doing it. Quite a good job. Uni, I think I will ask. We do. We'll send it over. Don't you? And then someone says, don't you get tired of posting IG and tweeting all day? But don't forget, she had that embarrassing document that the lawyer filed on her behalf in the Tardy Westbrook case that we went, there's no way a lawyer could have written that. Whoa, is this you trying to convince people in DMs that I have a personality disorder and that I'm dangerous? You falsely accusing me of fraud and covering up fraud. Yikes, that's defamation. That's defamation, bro. In his lawsuit, he says, I lied, that the lawsuit was issued under full faith and credit. Huh? As you can see, number 5, it states that every sheriff's department in the USA is responsible for enforcement under USC. Google the section, and it will show you what it is with the prosecutor's guide. Oh, so Google. She's the Google lawyer. Full faith and credit was part of the Violence Against Women's Act, so that's how she got in. The Act was established in 1994 and unauthorised in 2018, but many pieces of the Act remained, including full faith and credit. This is not a lie, and it's how the judge ordered the HRO, period. The idea that he's using this in a lawsuit to claim I defamed him, I can't even comprehend how this would be allowed by the judge. The judge ordered this, not me. I don't know anything about this, how this works. All right, so then, now, it's interesting. Oh, she deleted one today because she deleted a tweet that said that she wasn't served. Service to her home was fine. I clarified that I do not need to be served. However, let's just say we aren't getting very far with lawyers today. Now, does that mean his lawyers? So does that mean his lawyers or her lawyers? I'm here for Jordan and Krista. I love listening to you on other topics, just not Katie. Yeah, I know. Well, if you were here earlier, Cal. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, she's my last topic for the day. So again, I didn't do exactly what you wanted in a way that satisfied you. Apologizing for something I didn't do, then I would not have been on your radar because you had bigger fish to fry on your radar. In your own words, I was a nobody, so how can a nobody be responsible for ruining your reputation? She had a very busy day considering she only had half a day. There was a... If I was her lawyer, I'd be having huge stern words with her. I just couldn't do it. If I was her lawyer, I'd be ditching her. Unless I was desperate for money, and then maybe I would. Yeah, she's still covering the Duggars. I believe I believe she named all the websites he went on today. I don't know how you'd find that out. All right, so that's not much in it. Well, he doesn't need to worry about the statute of limitations because she's going full hammer and tongue at him now. She's giving him evidence every single day, in my opinion. Look at all the stuff she's accused him of. Some of those stuff are past the statute. Well, from what I saw, don't fit into that statute time. But she's just accusing him of all these things. And he hasn't responded back. So, right, what was I looking at? Let's look at Instagram. Oh, what is my details? Anyone who has posted her apologies, Steve, have been copyright struck, I think. Yeah, that's her other way that she's dealing with everything. She's copyright striking everybody, which is pretty foolish. In first case, I would have been... Yes. Yes, that's right. Yes, yes. So, from what I've heard, he was in California. She was and they were online, but she apparently in the harassment documents said that, I know, there was, but what she said happened could only have happened if they were in the same room. I want to move from WH and New South Wales so I can help run out the government. Yeah, well, that's the thing, because that tweet's now gone, Christine. I can't find it, but I know where I can get it from. So she says, parenting stuff today, mummy duty calls. Then, yeah, about the fact that he had heart surgery. But so he saw the cardiologist today. It's time to dissect how he got caught. Join me now on YouTube for a live stream. Yes, the thing that went from, that's right, the thing that went from California to Minnesota to poker. That's apparently what happened. How far is California to Minnesota? I'm sorry, I don't know. Because I should be assuming that. Okay. Okay, so it would be big, would it? several thousand miles. Wow. The guy that claims to have the biggest says that he's yay. Oh wow, wearing masks. Apparently 3,000 Ks roughly. Well, if that was the case, Steve would break the record for having the biggest. Because apparently the biggest, this guy has the record. 13.5 inches, 34 centimeters. I'm glad. Oh no. I don't have to say that. Oh, there you go. I don't want to know. Oh, all right. I'll turn it off. So there you go. But it's good that she's a she's a pharmacist. That's good. Yes. So yes, as I said, because the guy that's got the biggest is anyway. Oh. I didn't take you through all of the article, but he says apparently it doubles in size. It's a wonder Ralph hasn't kicked me out, hey? I'm scrolling. We were talking about the what Katie Joy accused Steve McRae of, and how his member needed to be large. And then I found that the person with the biggest or the largest in the world, it's 13.4 inches. I just couldn't believe he's there measuring it. I was like, what's he doing? And then I was trying to find out how big it would need to be to get from California to Minnesota. So that's how that all started, allegedly. A mind of its own. We're going to go there, aren't we? Oh, don't tell me she's been tweeting again. Is she up already? Don't tell me she's up early. It's 7:09 and my kid is still asleep. So why am I awake? She's up already. Is it 7:09? She deleted a heap. She deleted a heap of tweets. So apparently her kid's still asleep. Let me just show you this one. Let me pull the one where she says she wasn't served. And then it's disappeared. Here we go. Riddle me this. Do you want to hear me laugh hysterically? I don't know who my son's talking to, but this is what it's like every night. Usually, in fact, my daughter's on her computer playing games as well. It's like I would try to go to bed and I've got him in one room and her in the other. All right. So this was one of her tweets today. Well, riddle me this. The lawsuit arrived at my door. I was not at home. The man dropped it off. Did not verify who my husband was, nor did my husband sign a document for service. That makes no sense. Seems a little suspect. I was never physically served with anything. So, oh, really? As far as I know, she's not. So she then went on saying she wasn't served, and then she went on this huge Twitter rant, and people are saying, but I thought you said you weren't served. And that's when she said, oh, but I'm not really, I did get served. It's like, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, so she's up already, started her day. Yeah, 10:24. No, which means we could get a whole pile of manic tweeting again before we finish for the night. Now I heard oh, my infectious laughter. Yeah, there's not much laughing tonight. I apologize, although you can hear my son. So she shouldn't be tweeting. No, she was tweeting about the charity in the house. In Minnesota, all you need to do is deliver to an adult at the address. Well, hey, she said she was out of the house. Oh, someone just said she's awake because she has another 20 hours of non-stop manic tweeting to do. So let me get you let me just show you my proof today that I did, because I did. Oh, look, I do cry. I can cry. Where are we? Oh. Well, I was trying to get the laughter happening. That's why I was talking about members and body parts. Oh, dear me. Right, let me find my tweet. Why can't I get a profile? This is what? Oh, I've got another article for you. Here's something that I found out. Oh, really? All right, what I'll do is I'll do this later. I'll fix this up in a minute. All right. So I said here, this is my Twitter. I said people are doubting the emails are real. So here they are unredacted. I use my business account. So to the doubters, read and weep. So it says here, good morning. Not all the documents are public. It's $8 per document. Currently, there are 15 public documents in the file for a total of $120. That's for the harassment documents from KJ, between KJ and LMN. So remember the day before they told me that that was a public case. So then I wrote and I said, well, how do are the documents public and how can I go about the documents? So then the following email, I said, well, how do I do it? And they said, that would do it. I'll have to pull that up, go on the coffee cup. So I said, okay. So I said, I'm in Australia. How do I go about getting the documents? And they said, I either have to send them a check or I've got to phone up and pay by credit card. And then they'll mail me the documents. And I said, well, they'll take a long time to get here. And then I'd have to courier them. So as I said, what I've done is I've proven that the hearing was public and that there are 15 public documents in the matter. So I've proven my point and that's all I really wanted to do. So, all right. Jacinta Arden was asked today her response to those questions that need for such a quick and harsh lockdown. Her answer was Australia. Yeah, so 56 cases in Victoria are children under the age of 9. 55 cases are kids, teenagers 10 to 19. And the idiot journalists are still going on about the playgrounds being closed. No, she hasn't. She hasn't. So here's something. This will make you laugh. All right, here we go. Let's have a look. I don't think there's any music. Oh, look, there's Steve McRae. There's no sound. I wish there was sound. She hasn't been well with wind whispers. Katie lacking joy. There you go. So she put them in and she tagged Todd Chrisley, and Todd Chrisley loved them. This is what I noticed today. I found this story today. So in the middle of the night, detainees from Villawood Detention Centre in the middle of the hot zone, red zone. It was good, wasn't it, Mr. Obvious? In the middle of, Villawood Detention Centre in Sydney, they were flown to Western Australia in the middle of the night. Yeah, her daughter had to reschedule the wedding, but she hasn't been well. So this says 72 guards and detainees were flown from Sydney's COVID-19 red zone to Western Australia. KJ. So the ABC was given the timeline of what occurred Tuesday after guards at Villawood Detention Centre knocked on the doors of 23 detainees. At 3:30 a.m., they woke up with flashlights in their face. Pack your stuff, you're going. So they were trying to get hold of family members and lawyers. At 5:58, he sent a message to his dad before his phone was temporarily confiscated. ABC understands the group boarded a large passenger jet, which later stopped in Melbourne to pick up another detainee. In all, there were 72 detainees and guards on board. Now, these are refugees, by the way. For each detainee, we had 2 other officers which were assigned to us. Although we were secured, we still had to have 2 other officers sitting either side of us, and we were handcuffed the entire time for over 17 hours. They arrived in Perth. They had to have a COVID test. Then they were taken to a quarantine facility inside the Duggar Hill Detention Centre in Northern. It was still dark. They had no idea. They weren't told what was going on. This sounds something that you see in movies. Now, interestingly, this person was born in Papua New Guinea. He's been fighting detention since he was paroled in 2018. So when he was a teenager, he what did it say? He was paroled for murdering somebody. Spent 12 years in jail. He said if he was sent back to PNG, he'd die prematurely from a chronic pancreatic condition or be killed by tribal gangs. The mother of the victim has supported his stay for Australia. The ABC asked Australian Border Force why the detainees had been moved from Villawood to WA. They didn't respond. And this is the thing that really, really has got me. The Northern Shire president said he was angry not to have been told, so they didn't know. It came as a complete surprise, and it is the second or third time that I've been made aware by the ABC or the media. So they didn't tell the community that was happening, and they didn't tell the state premier that they were bringing people into their state. Australia Border Force said they would keep us informed because we have had other incidences. Some are minor, some are bigger than minor. So they always promise to keep the communication open and let the Shire know what's going on. So that is why if there are any more detainees who have been transferred in there. So the Premier didn't know. So all of this was done in the undercover of darkness. I haven't been advised. I don't know what their reason is, said Mr. McGowan. Obviously, the Commonwealth runs the centres. So they run Villawood, Duggar Hill, Christmas Island, and they move people around. Australia Border Force moved refugees, detainees from Villawood to Northern. So Duggar Hill is in the Northern Shire Council area, which has not had a confirmed case of COVID-19 during the current wave of pandemic. The retailers are very concerned that it's now going to come out. The transfer comes after several West Australian residents have had fears about getting back home. So, again, people are saying they can't get back into WA, but they've transferred refugees from Sydney to WA. So, in Australia, you actually have to have paperwork signed for 90 days before you get, 30 days. You have to have this paperwork signed 30 days before you intend to get married. It's complicated. So I just find that it's very secretive, and the fact that it was secretive that the Premier didn't know that was happening, I just find to be very, very baffling. That's what I think. And don't forget that they've come from a red zone, so they've come from an area where is surrounded by COVID, and now they've taken them to an area where there's no COVID. So the local residents are very confused. Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say WA probably has the toughest border. It's hard to get into. But that still doesn't explain why they moved the detainees out of Villawood and to WA, and why it was done at 3:30 in the morning. So 17 minutes ago, I don't know how accurate it is, but if you look at it says New South Wales to hit 2,000 cases a day if virus continues to spread at the current rate. Wow. We have not had anything like that in Australia. So New South Wales looks set to overtake Victoria's bad day. So anyway, whose live did you all attend? I haven't attended anyone. I haven't seen anybody's live today. I don't think so. No, because I've been in class. I had class most of the day, and I had my iPad tuned into the court, so I could keep in. Oh, so here's a clip. Here's a clip from KJ today, just so you can see what we're missing. Just so that we can see what we're missing. See what we're missing, because I don't think I'm missing much. Here we go.
And he said it's very common for them to delete images.
What? And he said it's very common for 200 for them to delete images. Okay, it sounds like coffee cup girl. So that's what we missed. That's what we've missed out on. Aren't you glad? Hi, Nick. Hello, Jean. Yeah, I don't know. Did you see the plan to create? Did you see the live plan to create? Because I saw the first few minutes of it, and it baffled me. Well, ACT's currently got COVID. Cal. New South Wales is sharing the love. Where is the love? I did see some of Erin's. I saw the very end of Erin's. And yeah, that's about it. Because anyone that's on really late at night, I'll watch, because that's usually around my lunchtime. So you missed it. Oh, look, why don't we watch it now? Oh, was Emily on today? So I didn't even. So at the moment, I think really there hasn't been a lot of stuff really. Oh, she's got 30,000 views. Yeah, all right. You want to watch it? All right, let's watch it, Cal. For you guys, all right. So I need to apologize for anybody that's anything about technology, because she's going to explain the dark web. I don't know anything about it. So I'm going to apologize in advance. And I'm going to speed her up because... Oh, and South Australia. See you, Christine. South Australia. They gave it to South Australia and Queensland, don't forget. All right, here we go. So it was subscribers only. It was subscribers only mode, and it was an hour. Oh, gee whiz, an hour. Oh, really? Really? Okay, let's go. And she was late. So I've sped her up. She got volume?
I should be live. Hi guys, how is everyone? Sorry, I'm like a couple of minutes late. You guys, I'm late because Sephora just arrived.
Nice. Sephora just arrived. Oh, no, I didn't speed that up.
So I had to open my Sephora box. I don't go shopping at the store, and so I just do my Sephora like binges where I have to like replenish my different things. And so when Sephora comes and when Sephora shows up, it's a huge day in my house. So I was just getting very excited because my lip gloss arrived.
So next time I have to show you my Sephora. I don't use Sephora. Great idea. Oh, you want the chipmunk? All right, we can do chipmunk.
Okay, welcome everyone. I love Sephora too.
She's still slow though.
I thought I ordered a different color. Does anyone else order online and you thought you bought the diamond milk and it came with the gloss bomb? But hey.
16 to 32 times. Well,
you guys, I was late because Sephora arrived. It's a whole moon. It is. So I got this one. I ordered it by accident, but turns out I like the color, and I'm not going to return it. I thought I was getting the diamond milk one. It's like a clear. Anyways.
She used it and then says, I'm not going to return it. I surrender. I give up. I give up.
Welcome, everyone. I actually was not online today because my son and I had to go. Oh, thank you for coming. Oh, to my new members, thank you for joining. County, LMK, and Serrari Torres. Well, thank you. Okay. So hi Annette. So I was
She still is all over the place, though.
actually with my kiddo, and we had to go to our annual cardiology appointment, and it was great news. So we don't have to go back for another year. Yay, we are 3 years post-op from open heart surgery. So it's always a little nerve-wracking when we go see the cardiologist, because for the longest time, we went for like every couple months, and then it was every couple weeks. And we've been on a good stretch right now where we have had good echocardiograms, and his surgery is, everything is holding tight. So we had some good news today. It was great news. I always like good news. So that means his heart is good and strong right now, and his repair has stuck. So welcome everyone. So it came to my attention, or maybe it didn't.
We're 3 minutes in and we've got nowhere.
It comes to my attention. It came to my realization that we have gone through a lot of details with this case. And I understand that there are a lot of things on this channel that you guys like. Currently, this case is by far the biggest viewed show or content. I have some other stuff that I would like to roll out. And so if there is specific content that
yeah, this is interesting. I did see this clip. All right. See ya, Cal. See you later. Thank you. All right.
interested in, I would love you to let me know. Obviously, we could talk about the Duggars all day, but there's so much out there to talk about. Tonight's chat is going to be subscribers only, so make sure if you would like to participate in the chat that you click on the subscriber button. We will be covering Plathville. I just watched for the Duggars, but you should watch for other reasons too. Okay, so Plathville, we will be covering.
They all want Duggars. They all want Duggars. That's all they watch her for, Duggars. So she's a Duggar channel.
Very welcome to Plathville for sure. Okay, just the Duggars. Okay, just the Duggars. Apparently, all you guys want to watch is the Duggars. Okay. All right, this has put me in a pickle. Thank you for becoming a member here, Elizabeth. Okay, so the government has released some of the transcripts from his bond hearing. And I understand that a lot of this is like old tea. So for some of you guys, you're like, hey, we already talked about this, or we already did this, or we already did that. And my thing with my coverage is that I like to be thorough, and specifically in this case, because there is so much information and it's just so vast and how much we have to go through, I also like to rely on public records, because public records are in the public domain and they are official documents and official records from court. And so they can be the
Oh, she likes to use official records from court. Maybe I do get her harassment documents because they are public records. But I don't want to pay the $200 and whatever it is dollars it's going to cost me, though. It's a lot of money.
most reliable. We talk about the specifics of this case. It's a good starting point, and it's a good point to go back to and be like, okay, this is what the court record says, this is what the government says, so that there's no confusion at all. So the transcripts, which are from this last hearing that was in May, are extensive. Like when you order a transcript from a court, and I'm actually thinking about this too. I'm thinking about doing some document clouds of transcripts and such. However, some of them are very extensive and very sensitive, so I don't know how many I will be putting out there, but it's something I've been debating about as a way to share them with you. But I have to be mindful of what's in these records. So I share with you the bits and pieces and that, but these records, this transcript is hundreds of pages long. So when you're talking about a hearing that was like 5-6 hours long, you have hundreds of pages that you have to read through, which means there's a lot of things that you miss or you hear. And one thing I was noticing is that I actually sat in on this hearing, okay? And I gave you...
That's we don't know. She's been served based on her... She did get served, although, yeah, I do appreciate Cameron. She never disappoints after all this time. You may need to keep that clip. Well, that's the thing, because she talked about public records. And as I said, I had decided that I wasn't going to, even though her harassment stuff against LMN is public record, I decided I probably wasn't going to do it. However, hearing her talk now, yeah, I don't know.
Everything that I could remember from sitting in that hearing. And I realized, now that I've read through the transcripts, that there were things that I didn't remember, or there were things that I either just, I was busy writing notes. Like I am a copious note taker. And I was like, how when you're taking a note, you're not totally listening? Yeah, like that's kind of where it was at.
Really? I can take notes and listen. In fact, my notes that I've taken to court hearings have lined up quite well to the news reporters. Maybe I'm a reporter. No, I'm not.
So there were some things that I just didn't either ping to, or how when you reevaluate something and you're like, wow, that is something that was a really important minute. Like this was a really important, necessary step that they needed to uncover to make sure that they had the right person. And this, you start sifting through the testimony and you're like, well, this happened, and then that happened, and then that happened. And you're like, oh, wow, like that's a lot of mistakes or just a lot of missteps or a lot of.
And if they're going to, let me tell you that if they're going to do his well, they are public records because I had them confirmed from the court's short order cook that they are public records. There's 15 public documents in that restraining order case. So I do it all the time. I take notes all the time and listen.
Whoa, he really did that.
That's what I do at uni all the time too.
So one of the biggest things that is the hardest part of cases like this is identifying who was the person that was sitting behind the computer, downloading the content onto their computer. Just because it's somebody's computer and the IP address is in somebody's name doesn't mean that that person is the person that downloaded the content. We know in this
Wait. She goes, just because the person's computer doesn't mean this is the same with her alleged hacking. Just because it's someone's IP address doesn't mean that's that person. No, Will, I didn't have to get a Freedom of Information request. I just asked the court what would I need to do to get the documents. I told them that I lived in Australia. They told me there was not all the documents in the case were public, but there were 15 documents in that harassment order that were. People have offered to send me some money to assist, and I haven't decided yet. As I said, it's going to cost me about $250 Australian to get them, and then because I've got to courier them to myself. So, because I can get them sent to my little US address, which is fine, but I've got to ship them. I've got to get them across here. So, but anyway.
There's a lot of people that can access your computers. We also know in the Duggar family, there are a lot of people.
So is she now saying that it's somebody else? Oh, EKC. I'm like, yes, that's true. Yeah, as I said, that's why I've put all of my stuff on Twitter because they're public.
Like
I don't think I'm going to survive an hour of this. I've already had enough.
47,000.
Thank you, Adam.
So one thing I was looking through, and
thank you, Adam. That's lovely. Thank you. I have a computer in Austria, one in Germany. Well, it's interesting. Quite often, so my website tracks the IPs. Well, that's what I'm trying to work out, Ginger. My website tracks IPs, and often I will be sitting here going to my website and it will tell me that I'm in Sydney, and I'm not in Sydney. That's why when she's saying that she was tracking IP addresses with the hackers and stuff, or the spoofers, I took it as a grain of salt.
I had a couple aha moments when I've been reading through this, and I was like, wow, this is really relevant, really, really relevant. Now, we went through the timeline, okay? So we talked about how they had mapped out this like 2-day, 3-day timeline, right? And they had outlined in that timeline which dates and what times of day things were happening. But I want to share something with you. Oops, 1 second. There was a few things that kind of got him in trouble. Okay. And that was these specific things that really created quite the conundrum for Mr. Duggar. There was a few things that he had done during his months, weeks, years leading up to all this happening that solidified and helped the government build their case against him, okay? Thank you, you're welcome. Okay, so one of the things that we talked about was this.
Someone just, and she goes, thank you, you're welcome. Okay, thank you, Adam. Sorry, but who is Katie Joy? And why didn't you go, Cal? Or are you back? Or is that an old message that's come back? I just love how she got this super chat, and she's, oh no, someone's joined, and she's going, oh, thank you. And
Linux partition, the partition that he had placed on his computer that had been installed on May.
Hey, can you work to get up? Look, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it. I know the few people have said to me they're happy to PayPal me, and I'm happy to do that as well. I don't mind. I've just got to sort it out. It's just hello, Kelly. It's, as I said, I wasn't going to do it because I proved my point. But the more I'm watching this, the more I'm thinking maybe I should. Oh, you came back? All right. Well, Cal, you're going to see how she changes, she uses a narrative. So.
13th. So they put on May 13th a partition called the Linux partition. He installed it, right? And so this is how they explain it. A Linux partition is something that can divide a hard drive of a computer into two isolated sections. So basically what it means is you can make one computer into two sides, separate sides, both independently working upon each other.
And you're about to get a computer lesson, everybody, all right? So remember, we're going to get educated. Lorianne and Nat are back as well. Yes, I did notice that. All right, so you plan to create. Yes, Lorianne and Nat are back. Everyone, you need to go subscribe to Plan to Create's channel. She's got a premiere happening in the morning for her planner. So have a look at that. Some cool stuff.
So there's two separate sides you stated that work operated independently. Does that mean that what is done on one side is not available on the other side? No, sir. They are two separate working computers, basically. Thank you. Now, the Linux partition that was created on May 13th wasn't password protected per the forensics examination. Yes, we found that the password for the Linux partition side ended in the last 4 digits of Mr. Duggar's birth year. So they know that it got installed, and Josh Duggar, if you remember, refused to give them passwords, okay? So when he refused to give them passwords, they had to do the forensics to like drill these down to find the passwords for each one of the things that was in here, okay? And it says that the birth year was the last 4 digits of his password to Linux, okay? So that was a big mistake, right? He uses a password that has this at the end of the last year. But then they say,
I'd appreciate you telling me who she really is. She's a YouTuber. Depending on what day it is, she will tell you she's a reporter. She will tell you she's a blogger. She will tell you that she reports on reality TV. However, well, that's what I thought I did. I mean, I worked for a security. He was one of the top 5 computer security people in the world, and all of his computers always had petitions. You'd buy a new computer, and they were automatically put into 2.
And then they further found that through continued forensic examinations, that the same password was used for years for things such as personal bank accounts, utility websites, social media, and I believe that was also for the Duggar family social media accounts. And then it was also at one point his login for the Family Research Council, which I believe was in Washington, D.C. So someone installed the Linux partition onto the desktop computer at Josh Duggar's work.
Right. So far, we haven't found, well, having a Linux petition is not an issue at this point in time, is it?
Installed it, the password they used to protect it was the same password that he used for everything else. And
I have to say, I do the same thing, which is really, really stupid. Actually, I've changed it. I now have a variation of it. I have the normal one, the short version, and the long version of it. It's just I'm lazy because I can't remember anything else. So there's a hint. I've just given you all access to everything of mine.
Remember how I told you that the social media that is run by Anna is not Anna? I told you it was a joint family account. That's what they're talking about.
I told you. I was right. I told you.
Even though the name says Anna Duggar on it, it's not actually Anna's social media. It's the family social media. So one of the biggest mistakes he made was installing a partition and using the same passwords. Now, passwords and using the same passwords for multiple things is not uncommon at all. And it's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of us make. That's why I don't use the same passwords for literally anything, because once you get hacked or someone attempts to hack you, if they figure out that one password, they can find access and get into everything.
I don't know what she's doing, Kelly. But she's hacked all the time, allegedly.
So they were able to figure out, okay, he installs
So that's the link. Is that the, yeah, that's the link. Nightbot's just shared the link if you want to join.
Linux partition into there, okay? And they say this is the place that law enforcement during their investigation determined he was employed at prior to this. Yes, that's correct. What specifically was located?
Oh, she's reading the transcript. I wondered what she was talking about. Well, I wanted to make it affordable for everything. Linux are very, if someone is using Linux, they're not likely. Really? Well, she reckons it is.
On that side. So basically everything that was relevant to our child exploitation investigation. We found the material, we found BitTorrent, peer-to-peer file sharing programs, as well as the Tor browser. So remember how he said that they might find the Tor browser on his computer when he sat down with them in the back of the car? They found that on the Linux partitioned side. So they found the dark web on that side. So they say, was Covenant Eyes on the partition side? So he was using this program called Covenant Eyes that he was trying to hide things.
We already know all of this. We already know this, don't we? We've been through this.
From Anna. He was taking more steps to try to hide what he was doing to his wife than he was like to the feds. Instead of like thinking about having multiple multiple passwords. He's worried about the Covenant Eyes. He's worried about Anna being able to see what the websites he's going to. So he has to take steps to hide everything from Anna. He has to make sure that she can't see what's happening, which is why he needs to do the partition. But my thing is that in the middle of all of that, instead of using a different password, in the event that someone figures out that he has this on his computer, he just uses the one that he uses for everything, which is ridiculous. And if you think about it,
uses the one he uses for everything. Hang on. It makes no sense. It's not making any sense, is it? You can access it from a non-Linux computer. Yeah, I thought you could.
Anna might know that password. So what would happen if Anna would have showed up at work? Imagine this. If Anna would have showed up at work, that day and she would have used that password and been like, oh, what's this? I mean, I don't think that Anna would have been doing that, but right? So it says, no, it was not. And we later learned from the representative of Covenant Eyes that it will not work on the monitor of the Linux partition. So he specifically picked Linux, again, because it would hide things from Anna. He was more concerned about hiding this from Anna than anyone else.
Yes, we heard she's running. Yeah, of course. Wow. That's unbelievable. Seriously. What? I've heard all of this. I know. Well, that's right. She does.
He did not take necessary steps to hide this from the feds, to hide this from, to have a hidden track from anyone else. It was all about hiding from Anna. From Anna. Anna, this is why you need to get away from this man. He is not an honest man, in my opinion. So does that overall mean anything done on that Linux side would be detected by Covenant Eyes? That's right. The accountability partner would have not seen anything on the Linux side of the partition. So anything he's doing on that side, Anna is not getting a report from, and she has no idea, no clue what he's doing. So he says, with respect to the MacBook and the officer, before he moved on, did he testify that part of the Covenant Eyes is that it creates a report of an individual, whoever the subscriber is and the user is of the internet use, and sends it to the accountability partner? That's correct. And in this case, the account holders were Mr. Duggar and his wife. Is that correct? That's correct. All right. So he knew that if he was doing something on that computer and it had illicit content on it, and that doesn't just mean the kid stuff. He admitted to having an issue with liking to watch the down and dirty stuff, right? That's
I cannot believe it. Did you just say that?
consensual with adults most of the time. So they were thinking that they were trying to prevent him from watching that, not thinking that he was doing this.
I'm tired. I'm just seeing this as just hilarious. I know it, and it's not, and I apologize, but this down and dirty, what?
Okay. So, all right, with respect to MacBook, could you tell us, or could you tell the court rather, if the forensic examination of the device identified both BitTorrent, the peer-to-peer file sharing network, and then separately Covenant Eyes? Yes, sir, it did. So anything else? Now, the one part here is where it gets really interesting. Thank you for your super sticker. Yes, this is a transcript from the bind. Anything else of evidentiary value that was else learned as you discovered from the MacBook. Now, this is another mistake that Josh Duggar did, and this is another way that Josh ended up getting caught, right?
Oh, so she knows all, she's telling us all the mistakes. So here's what, so what you do, she's telling everybody how not to get caught. Well, that's very intelligent, isn't it? Here's what to do to not get caught.
So it says, we learned that Mr. Duggar had backed up his previous iPhone, which I believe was an iPhone 8, to that MacBook, and which allowed us to obtain the text messages, email messages, pictures, you name it, from the MacBook itself, especially for the date ranges of May 13th through May 16th of 2019.
But it wouldn't have done it from the Linux partition side, correct?
So I don't know if any of you guys, when you get a new phone, you keep your old phones. I do. And so he didn't keep his old phone. So he went and bought a new phone, and then he turned in his old phone, okay? So a couple months before they did the raid on his property, he had turned this phone in and he got this phone. And so but his mistake was this phone he thought he got rid of, but it was backed up onto his computer. So all the text messages that were in this phone that he thought were gone and not in this phone were on his computer.
But how does that? But the dark web not sending, is she saying that he had dark web text messages on his phone? What's she saying? What's her point? I don't believe the information from the Linux partition would go to his phone. Or am I totally wrong with that? Am I just misunderstanding or what?
So it says, from May 16th, were you able to forensically locate the chat messages coming from the MacBook? And it says, yes, we were. So they were able to extract all of his text messages and his chats because the phone he handed in, he backed up to his computer on his MacBook, and he never deleted those messages. Had he not backed this up to his computer and that would have been gone, they would not have been able to place him at that computer.
But hello, Unicorn. Hello, thank you. That doesn't make. So he used the computer between those dates, okay, but we still haven't got. Oh. So the Linux is not going to let you connect it to an iPhone unless you are in front of. Is that what her point is? Well, why didn't you just say that, Spiz? Why, if that's what she means, why didn't she just say that? All of this.
Think about that. If he would have just chucked this and not synced it to his MacBook, they wouldn't have gotten all those messages. Now, I don't know if you're a Mac user. I am. When you are a Mac user, sometimes when you're on the same network and you use the same Apple, if you use the same Apple ID, it'll automatically sync, and so you might not even know that. So you may sync and not even realize that it's sunk. It's been synced. I mean, it's a weird word. So because it's automatically backing up to his MacBook, that's how they got it, and that's how they got all the evidence that they needed. So
Still don't understand how that proves that he's accessed the Linux partition on during those times. It's still in my heading. Oh, really? That's sad, Jean. I try to get to everyone's questions. Sometimes the chat does flow up and down, but that's why I like smaller chats too. KJ does prove it right. So Adam's saying it doesn't. Right. So we've proven that he has used the non-Linux side of the computer, correct? we haven't yet got him. We haven't got the proof that he is on the Linux side. Right. So basically, it's her whole point. Yes, he said that's what he did in text messages that was backed up. Yeah. Well, that's not what she's saying, I don't think. Great. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me again? Yep. No, I think I lost audio. I think I'm back. That's right, you didn't miss much. I was saying she's really smug, like she's cracked the case. Well, I was going to say, I thought dual booting a Mac was a bad idea. You're better off using a PC. Have I gone again?
Okay. So they say it represents both the important and it's like an important timestamps. So it says, understand, we are true and accurate summaries of the forensic examinations of the I-point for the record. Correct. Now,
On again, hasn't it? I'm going to have to go. We back again? Hello. Yeah, I'll have to check my mic inputs, but you can hear KJ. Oh, no. Alabama's got no room for... Oh, that. All right. Yeah. All right. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. I don't think my computer likes KJ because every time it happens. No, KJ, no.
What would have happened if Anna would have caught him with covenant eyes? She has no authority over him in the cult as they are. See, exactly. She would have had to probably pray for him. So they go through the different exhibits, and of course his attorney.
So they can place. So they know that it's his computer, but I have not seen anything yet where they've placed him in that. Placed him as the. The last thing I saw, there was a guy called Randy there as well, and it could have been Randy.
They object to lack of foundation. What effectively is a summary prepared for litigation purposes only summarizing a forensic examination. We think that is improper for evidentiary value from an evidentiary basis. We acknowledge, Your Honor, that the rule of evidence do not technically apply to this hearing, but at the same time, this court has within its discretion to limit the ability of appropriate evidence from inappropriate evidence, and we would ask the court to use that discretion. And then the court says, if you could ask your witness to just lay a bit of the foundation about the process of post-seizure of the examination, I'm inclined to admit this, but I need to hear a little bit more. So they did this to be revealed, I'm guessing, because, well, there was a lot of media in this meeting. There was a lot of people watching. There was
a lot of media in the meeting. She was saying she literally drags all this out. I can see that. Well, she needs to get all those super chats in, doesn't she?
70 people in the courtroom, on a Zoom courtroom. And with all of those eyes, that meant that people were figuring out what they did to catch Josh. And it was going to expose how this all was laid out. So they do this, and they say that they seized it on the 8th, and they do a forensics.
I don't know. I haven't seen that evidence. Yes, I've heard that 2 people from Pathos are going to sue her. And I've even sped it up, and we still haven't got to the point quicker.
Sweep of it, okay? I gotta go down here. They get forensic reports in March of 2020. I gotta get to the part where, okay. So they put up a timeline, and this is where they go through the timeline. And so this is where they move through that timeline that we talked about. Now on the screen, when we were in the hearing, there was an actual like photograph.
Somebody says, can I get a shout out? Someone's paying to get a shout out. Well, I always said I was going to do members only streams, but when I talked about it, people didn't want members only streams, and I think I've done a couple of subscriber only streams only because we were getting some naughty people in, and I just needed to lock it down. But all they had to do, but I do it for 0 time. But yeah, most of my chats are open for that reason.
Can I get a shout out? Yes, Princess Me. Thanks for watching, sweetheart. Okay. Thanks for the super chat. So it says, could you please explain the important events that happened and bullet point them? Okay, they say on May 13th, that's when they discovered that the Linux partition was created on the HP all-in-one desktop computer. And also that the Tor TOR browser was installed on that side of the partition.
Hang on.
Moving on to May 14th.
Where are we getting the Mac from? Where's the Mac come from? Because now they're talking about a HP computer. She's been talking about a Mac. And a Mac doesn't talk to a HP. Have a listen.
Where they move through that timeline that we talked about. Now on the screen, when we were in the hearing, there was an actual like photograph of this. Can I get a shout out? Yes, Princess Me. Thanks for watching, sweetheart. Okay. Thanks for the super chat. So it says, could you please explain the important events that happened and bullet point them? Okay, they say on May 13th, that's when they discovered that the Linux partition was created on the HP all-in-one desktop computer. And
it's a HP all-in-one desktop computer. She's been talking about a Mac. So is it the HP all-in-one computer that's got the Linux partition, or the Mac that's got the Linux partition? Because now we've got 2 devices. No, she said HP. She said HP. Have a listen.
Up a timeline, and this is where they go through the timeline. And so this is where they move through that timeline that we talked about. Now on the screen, when we were in the hearing, there was an actual like photograph of this. Can I get a shout out? Yes, Princess Me. Thanks for watching, sweetheart. Okay. Thanks for the super chat. So it says, could you please explain the important events that happened and bullet point them? Okay, they say on May 13th, that's when they discovered that the Linux partition was created on the HP all-in-one desktop computer.
HP all-in-one desktop computer. That's not a Mac. She's been taught, because she said they caught him because he was using a Mac, and the Mac automatically uploads your iPhone. It doesn't do it to an all-in-one HP computer.
And also that the Tor TOR browser was installed on that side of the partition. Moving on to May 14th, could you note and explain the different events located and determined and identified forensic exam? Yes, on May 14th of 2019 at 4:14 p.m., Mr. Duggar's iPhone was utilized to take a picture of a vehicle on the motor car lot. So at 4:14 p.m., he's legit at the car lot taking a photo of a car, and based on the latitude and longitude that was geolocated near that lot. At 4:20, the same thing, Josh's iPhone utilized to take a picture this time of the HP all-in-one desktop computer. So he takes a photo of his computer at 4:20. That's so. Why are you taking a picture of your computer? Maybe it was like a
Why take a picture of your computer? Haven't you ever set up your computer and you've got it right and you want to take a picture of it so you know what it looks like? So if you actually, for example, redesign or redo your configuration, like you get a new desk in, you know where everything goes. Is that not something that people do? Obviously she doesn't. Hello, Liz. Okay, so he took photos of his desk computer, but it was supposed to be for his business, and the car was ready for pickup. Well, that's the other thing as well.
And they geolocate that computer and that phone, and they say that geolocating of pictures is actually super accurate. So they say at 4:49, the 14th, there's a text message stating, "Not stuck here and still not free. I'm going to be game for tomorrow just after lunch." So he's giving someone at home or someone an excuse for why he's still at work, right? 4:48, the Tor browser on the partition side of the computer was utilized to access really bad stuff. So he downloaded, looking at content of adults S8.
Oh, no, she's not, is she? But I still don't know where, I don't understand any of this start with, because she started off talking about a Mac. And now she's talking about a HP desktop. So that's all I know, is that she was talking about how he got caught with his iPhone because his iPhone backed up his stuff onto his Mac. But now we're talking about completely different completely different computer. Oh, this is like confusing me.
Adults. So, but not consensual. So there's different kinds of contraband, and there's actually like there's kids getting hurt, and then there's adults getting hurt. So not only was he doing this and looking at kid stuff, but he was also looking at content related to adults getting essayed, which is why I say again that Anna needs to leave, and I truly, truly, truly hope that she realizes that this is not okay. So I'm just going to take this off the screen and read it to you just because there's some explicit stuff that I don't want to have on there. I don't want to trigger anyone. But at 4:48, they download it, and he's looking at sites associated with SA. And he's also looking at CSAM. He looks at a file name with a file name download, which was viewed on that computer. Between 5:28 and 5:38 that same day, on the same, he goes onto the BitTorrent website, and he grabs the file movie 214 from torrent and movie 216. Files were downloaded onto his computer.
The only thing I can work out that the text messages are going to do is that they're going to prove that he had sent the message at that time to say he was at work. But we're talking about two different computers now. Trigger warning. Oh, no. Really, Wind Whispers? No, but she just said she wasn't going to trigger anyone. This is worse than fixing up certain viruses. Oh, I'm not saying, Jean. I'm not saying it. I'm talking about the fact that KJ is making she's talking about certain things and none of it's making sense. That's all. Because she was talking about Mac and now she's talking about a completely different computer. And so I'm just trying to work out how but he's saying somebody else accessed the information. So if I'm looking at it objectively, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just confused.
541 and through 546 of the user of the same all-in-one computer accesses multiple Tor directory sites associated with BitTorrent peer-to-peer file sharing networks. And at 542, that is when Detective Calmer from the Little Rock Police Department downloaded that one file for him. And that specific address was associated with his subscriber account. So if you remember, at 4:48, he was sending a text message to someone that he was just stuck in the office. And within 9 minutes of that time, and then within an hour, he was downloading content that was horrible, horrible. And then he goes in at 5:48, and through an iChat message, he sends a message to, I'm assuming, Evan Stewart, Carlin's husband. I believe he sends a text message to Evan Stewart because he's talking about Carlin, and he says, at 5:48 p.m., he sends a text message. It says, I have your Versa down here for Carlin, by the way. Versa is a car, and I'm assuming he's talking to Evan. I got your Versa down here for Carlin. I'm at my car lot. So at 5:48, he's texting someone connected to the Bates. And then at 6:01 to 6:05, his phone takes multiple pictures of vehicles at the car lot. So he went from texting someone at 5:49, being like, hey, I'm stuck in the office, or 4:49, to doing like an hour on the dark web looking at horrific content, to being like, hey, Evan, I've got Carlin's car. And then he goes onto the car lot and takes photos of the cars.
Oh, well, then he's guilty. But wait, is Randy at the car lot? I'm just asking. Because but the thing that she showed the other day when they went to search, they talked about somebody else being at the car lot at the same time. So my question is, was the other guy at the was the other guy there? But see, she's got the smug look on her face, like she's cracked the case. Like this is like proof. I've cracked it. But what I am saying is, it's still, it seems to me, it could be deemed circumstantial. Will someone think about the cars? I look like a robot.
So he takes photos of multiple cars on the car lot. Then, on the next day, which is May 15th, they do another analysis where they look at his phone and the computers, okay? And it says there was 7 million digital artifacts. So it says, this was extracted analysis both from the Department of Justice and from Homeland Security investigations. These computer examinations line out everything that you see here. And again, I think it was March of 2020, I received copies of the reports. And I want to say that.
Well, that's what I want to know, short order cook. That's what I want to know. I want to know what Randy was doing, because in the document the other day, that was shown, there was mention of Randy. What was Randy doing?
There was over 7 million digital artifacts that I went through and comprised the reports of. For the record, are there events listed in the government's exhibit true and accurate? Yes. So they have 7 million different artifacts. Oh, won't let me send messages because of kids? I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't know. You have to be a subscriber, sweetheart. You can send us if you subscribe to the channel. That is how you can actually chat.
See, it's Deb. So she's taken money from. Oh, jeez.
So thank you so much for your super chat. So starting at May 15th at approximately 11:15 in the morning, he sends a message saying, "I'm at the car lot now." At 11:30, he puts an About Tour website. He bookmarks it. So he bookmarks tour 15 minutes after he text messages someone and says, "I'm at the car lot." And at 11:41, he downloads torrent files associated with this. Out of respect for the court, I'll just say the file lists are accurate in terms of what they were. So he's downloading some really nasty stuff, right? Horrible content. And then he's taking a picture of a fire truck. And then he takes a picture of an accident at 3:39. And then this is the part I thought was really ridiculous. At 3:35 p.m., he sends an iChat message to 22 people. Just think for a minute. He's a big family associated to the family of his family stating. So 22 messages to his family. Be praying for Mark, an older guy that was riding a motorcycle on 4/12. So he tells his family to pray for Mark, right? At 3:35. And then at 5:08, he sends a
Was Mark in the accident?
text message that he's still at the car lot and he's going to be there until 6 o'clock. How many of you think at some point his wife is calling him and being like, "Honey, when you about to be home?" Right? He accesses the BitTorrent website. He downloads Play Toy Sweetie. At 5:08, he says he's going to be home at 6 o'clock, right? And then after that text message, he's on the dark web downloading a bunch of files. And then this is where it gets really, really graphic. So I'm going to pull this off for a second here. After he has texted someone at home that.
All right. So I'm assuming we're getting to the trigger warning. There's lots of assumptions. Remember, he's still innocent until proven guilty. I think he did do it. Like, I think he is guilty. I think he will go to jail, but we can't assume that it was. I'm saying the FBI said there was a Randy there. Where's Randy?
He is going to be there until 6 o'clock. He goes onto the dark web and he downloads the worst content in the world. Okay? So this is what it says. At 5:22, he downloads the Play Toy Sweetie, and then he downloads the DD torrent. Okay? And that's like the torrent file with DD. Okay?
Oh, you're joking. She's saying what they are? No way.
And it says, "I need to stop you right there. Yes, sir. Could you tell the court if the torrent file, what is significant to law enforcement?" This is the file that has Josh in so much trouble. This file that he downloaded is why one of the charges is 20 years. Yes, so DD is a known series of CSAM, very well known with ICAC law enforcement communities, better described as something called Daisy's Destruction, which is a series of CSAM involving children from 18 months of age to 12.
Oh, no. She's not, is she? No way.
And all I can say is that in the 11 years of doing this and the thousands upon thousands of images and videos I've had, unfortunately, to see, DD series ranks in the top 5 of the.
And obviously she's not talking. She's quoting the person, but she's, of course, making it sound like she's talking.
The worst that I've ever had to examine. So while he.
And yet she's smiling about it. You have to, I'm happy to.
Is telling Anna or someone at home, I'll be back. It'll be around 6 o'clock. He goes online and downloads the top 5 worst in the world. Now, if you are not familiar with Daisy's Destruction, the man who made this content used to stream it on the dark web. He would make people pay $10,000 to stream it, and he would make videos on demand. So if someone had a fetish, he would do those things.
Oh, no.
And he would make snuff films. And in one of the videos in the series, a little girl is actually.
No way. She's not. Everyone close your ears.
Her life is ended. And they bury themselves. They have to dig their own graves. And it's an 18-month-old little girl that also, it's horrible, okay? So Peter is his name. I believe, I can't remember, it starts with an S. He is in the Philippines. He's from Australia, and he is going to be in prison for life. The Philippines does not have the death penalty, and the country of the Philippines actually considered reinstating the death penalty for this man. So that's why Josh is in so much trouble. Like, kids were literally killed for this content.
No way.
It's that content that he downloaded that is why he's facing 20 years. So I understand if that's triggered you, and I do apologize. I'm just trying to be as, this is why he's in so much trouble.
You didn't need to say any of that. Seriously. I'm sorry if it triggered you. Really? No, you're not.
Okay. So he downloads that.
Now, what I find it very interesting, if we want to talk about, so she carries on about the stuff that's in about the harassment hearing for her son, for example, in the harassment filing, and yet she's just talked about all of this. Really?
It says, so from 5:25 to 5:30, he accesses a website. So while he's in the process of downloading Daisy's Destruction, which is a big file, okay? So there's multiple videos. It's like a series in the DD torrent. He made like a bunch of different videos. And the culmination.
She's speaking as if she knows what she's speaking as if she knows what she's talking about.
Involves an 18-month little girl. And that's not her real name, by the way, okay? So when we use these names, that's not the little girl's name. And none of the children's names that were in these videos are the actual names of the kids. And all of these kids from that series, except for the little girl that they had found buried underneath his house, have been accounted for and have been rescued. So there's at least that in all of this, right? They're rescued, and he's in prison, and his co-conspirators are also in prison. They would pick up little kids on the street. So there's like little kids that are super poor, and they would offer to feed them, give them money to do chores, and that's how it all was kind of broken in. So while he's downloading that, from 5:25 to 5:30, he goes onto the website Home Advisor, and he puts the username Joshua into the autofill box and connects a review to a construction company. And he says, were you able to view? So he puts his name, he writes the review, and then after he writes the review, he puts the name in Joshua into the autofill and then conducts a review of an online local construction company. They contact the construction company, who tells them, so I made contact with the owner of that specific construction company who advised me that he had in fact done work for Mr. Duggar and his wife. And in the past and at the conclusion of the project, had asked them to post a review on their website or on the website for their business. So while...
Well, she's a lawyer now. Well, that's what I'm saying, Liz. She seems to know an awful lot about it for somebody just reading it.
He's downloading that horrible content. He stops to think about placing a review on a website. the more I read this, the more I'm just like, yo, this guy is seriously like missing something upstairs. He's got to be like a psychopath or a sociopath. Like, I don't know how the average person could just go from like, I'm going to go do a home advisor survey, and then I'm going to go download Daisy's Destruction. And then I'm going to go back on my computer and watch Daisy's Destruction now that I'm done filling out this survey.
But now she's a psychologist.
So then after he fills out the survey, he goes and downloads that file again. And then he downloads another file at 5:32 at 5:41 named Marissa. He sends a text message at 5:48. No problem, probably be here. Still have customers here. No problem, probably going to be here for a while. Mind you, there's no one there, clearly, because he's on the computer. So whoever he's messaging to, he's lying. I'm stuck at work. I still have customers. And then at 6:45, the same date, the detective is the one, Detective Palmer downloads that from his files. He takes pictures of 2 notes on the desk located inside the office. So for some reason, he's taking photos of like things on his desk. He's taking photos of his computer screen. And they said it was the same desk as the wholesale desk. They also download something called Pedo Mom on the 16th. It takes a picture of the
I take photos. If I have a setup that I like, I take a photo of it.
desk in the main office again. So he has a lot of experience. He has a lot of experience doing these kinds of cases, right? If Josh had not had his computer back up his phone, they would not have those iChat messages, because
I still don't know where the iMac comes into it. I don't know where the iMac comes into it. Because we've got 2 different machines now she's talking about.
once he got rid of that phone, those messages went with the phone, right? And they weren't on the phone that he newly purchased. So him backing this up onto a computer is how they were able to corroborate or put him in the location of the computer. But not only that, he used the same password for the particular.
Hello, this guy. Welcome. But she's still saying, because your iPhone doesn't automatically sync to a non-Mac computer. So she was talking at the start of the thing about a Mac. Now she's talking about a HP. So we've got 2 computers involved here now. Not one. But she's giving the impression there's 1 computer involved. Yeah, our iPhone does not. It syncs the music, but it doesn't sync everything else.
As all of the passwords he had used for other things like his bank and social media accounts and utility websites. And then on top of that, he fills out a home advisor review while he's downloading Daisy's Destruction. So they did a full sweep of his computer space.
So she's talking about what in iPhone, one call would have, yeah, but she's saying it backed up onto the computer. Your iTunes sync automatically. I used to, before I got my Mac, I had a HP. My iTunes would sync, but my messages don't. My messages sync to my MacBook, right? But now we're dealing with 2 different machines, but she's referring to it as if it's 1 machine, but she talked about a Mac right at the start. Then she read about a HP all-in-one. And now she's saying, no, I don't know. I'm confused. We've got 2 machines. They both won't have a Linux partition in it. The Mac, I would be highly doubtful that it would have a Linux partition in it.
Someone said he's manufacturing a cover for his dual life. Covenant Eyes was reporting all of his innocent work and photos for his family, but it's screwed with law enforcement. Yes, exactly. And the reason why he had to put Covenant Eyes on there, and the reason why he picked the Linux partition, is because Linux doesn't work on Covenant Eyes. So Covenant Eyes and Linux are incompatible, and he knew that. So he had to find a way to do what he wanted to do on a work computer, which he knew that Miss Duggar would not have access to because Anna could phone, and Anna could probably have access to his laptop. But at work, there's nobody there that can really make him, so he's putting something on his work computer. They also say that a forensic look at the computers and a forensic sweep of the contents of these devices make it seem like he didn't have any other employees using these during the time that he was downloading this content. So they don't believe there was another employee there. They don't believe that there was anyone else there with them because nobody else was accessing the stuff other than Josh, they believe, based on the forensic.
They believe. They don't have proof. It's only a belief, but there's no proof. Josh, from what I understand, from what I've heard, has always maintained it was the other guy. And when they went to do the search, there was the other guy. So I'm just saying, look, I just, you know that I just throw things out there to try, I guess, that can have a link, but it's a pain. It's likely to fall. I think it might prove that both times the app was downloaded. Possibly, yeah. You know, I'm just throwing, I guess you can say I'm devil's advocate. I'm just throwing things to you just to see. Because
Elizabeth says he has been doing this for a long time. I'm heartbroken for the babies and young children who have suffered for his screwed up desires. Why does he have access to his kids? This is madness. Yeah. Gigi says, I wouldn't want to be a juror on this trial. I want to hear all these details. So that's a lot of the reasons these cases they try to avoid trial is for a few.
I know I don't like to watch her live streams. I don't like to watch her live stuff because of this reason. I like KJ Mod Jessie Bear that called us loves. Jessie Bear's not there, is she? Well, that's right. Look, I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just like him. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying. I'm just throwing things. I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective, but it's very confusing. I mean, the fact that he asked, was there something about prawn? I'm saying prawns instead of the actual word, but did you find prawns on my computer? I mean, that's a big giveaway too.
So one of the big parts of these cases is that the children, some of the victims, okay. So sometimes the victims will testify. So if there's a child victim that's involved, sometimes they can testify in these cases, which there's a protective order. Peter Scully, there you go. That's his name. Some of the kids can testify. So it's pretty sad here. You guarantee, oh, I love you. That's so sweet. I love you. We have almost 3,000 people in chat, and I just noticed that there's only 470 likes. That's not acceptable, you guys. Make sure that you hit that.
3,000 people in chat? Really? Oh. I know. I'm sorry, Marilyn. I haven't seen it, so I'm supposed to be going to sleep after this too.
That like button. The chat is moving so fast, but you guys are doing amazing. Hit the like button. We just have a couple more things that we're going to go through here. And to everyone that has done super chats, Kim and Jennifer Lynn, 5-month member here. Well, awesome, Jennifer. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. So there's a lot of, like, on top of all of the stuff, the victims are in the Philippines. Yes. That's just the Daisy Destruction stuff, though. There was content on his computer that is not from the Philippines. They found 200 flagged images or videos on his unallocated space on his desktop. So they found 200 images that were flagged as CS8M, and it involved children. Thank you for your super chat. So on top of what they found on his computer that he hadn't deleted, they found 200 images that he did delete.
They found 200 images. And you're doing amazing. She said, Kim. Well, I mean, it worked. She got super chats and she got new members, so everything worked for her. Yeah, Adam, the start of the stream is actually normal. Well, we talk about Chirstian Porter and the ABC, how he's trying to get all of his defence questioned. We talk about Friendlyjordies having a bit of a spat with Wes, the Nationals Wes guy. We talk about Afghanistan and how Australians only picked up 26 people out of 136 seats. Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff. Katie Joy only comes to play in. We only start talking about her at the hour mark. So,
And he said it's very
or we talk about Israel and their issues with COVID, and we talk about Dr. Chant from New South Wales, and we talk about ICAC. So, yeah, there's lots we talk about.
very common for 200 for them to delete images. Yes, 200. I'm not lying. 200 images.
I'd like to see her deleted box, by the way.
So
I'd like to see what she's deleted.
he is someone. No, 7 million. The 7 million wasn't the videos. They had 7 million digital, like how the forensic stuff. It's like the data. That not 7 million images. That was like they had 7 million forensic something or others. Not identified as that. That just means when they swept through things, these were all the different things they had to look through.
Yeah, you've come for the boring bit, Adam. But just so you know, the latest stuff I always do Katie Joy last because that's the subscribers from the US are generally on at that point, and I do all the Aussie stuff first.
I managed what? I don't know what this is talking about.
She also managed to make a Hall of Shame list. KJ, you have lots to say out there. Like someone's talked about her. Yes, that's right. There were 2 people at the car lot. That's my understanding. There were 2 people at the car lot, and he's blaming the other guy. That's my understanding. And they shared the stuff. But anyway. And we don't always talk about this one either, but she's getting sued, so we're talking about her.
Okay. I don't know what that Hall of Shame thing was. Keep speaking the truth. This is a safe space. If you're the kids and siblings are posted about him too. So one of the biggest issues here that was mentioned when the judge decided to release him. So that's all the testimony we're going to go through today for right now. I'm giving you a lot to unpack, right? I'm giving you a lot to unpack.
Oh, she's going to do a part 2. Great. 7 million files or 7 billion bytes. Well, they're completely different things, aren't they? She doesn't know.
The big mistakes that he made, let's do a thing, and then I'll tell you about what the government said when they decided to release him. He used the same password for everything. He installed Covenant Eyes, and then he put the Linux partition in because it wouldn't work with Covenant Eyes. He backed up his phone, which allowed the police or the investigators to geolocate him to where he was sitting to the same times that downloaded content was happening. And also, while he was downloading Daisy's Destruction, he got bored apparently and decided to write a review for Home Advisor.
They were supposed to be alone when doing all this. All right, okay, that's all right. So that's okay. That makes, Christine, you've made more sense than the whole 53 minutes of what I've just listened to. But I still don't know where the Mac fits in because is the Mac the home computer? Oh, really? You can have a Linux partition on the Mac? Okay. Well, because if the one at the office was a HP, the Mac must have been a laptop then, a MacBook. And what was that used for? I don't know.
Can you imagine you're looking at some of the worst stuff, and then you're like, oh, I need to go leave a review for Steve, who did the, or Jim or James, who did my deck edition or whatever. It's like sociopathic. So
She's the psychologist. She's the psychologist.
had he not backed up that phone, we might still be here today, but we definitely wouldn't have the same level of conclusive evidence here.
No, I wouldn't say it's conclusive. The Mac is her computer? Because I don't know whether it's a Mac, an iMac or a MacBook or a Mac. Yeah. She just referred to it as a Mac.
Okay. So here's the deal. When the judge made the decision to say, or to say that Josh could go home, or not go home, but she was going to let Josh out, she said that Josh could have unlimited access to his kids. And the government, the prosecuting attorneys, so the government witness, what do you call it? The U.S. attorneys, that's what they're called. They objected to
Okay. Yes. So I don't know anything about that.
Through him getting access to his children. And the reason why they objected to him getting access to the children is that they claim that when he was arrested, remember how I told you CPS is supposed to, after an arrest of this nature happens with a parent, CPS comes in and they want to do a forensic evaluation of the children. Well, I guess they didn't want the kids to be evaluated. And they were preventing the police and CPS from properly evaluating the children to determine if the children were victims. So the government basically said, we're kind of concerned that they're not telling us everything and they're not complying with us, but we understand why.
I think, Adam, that's what's gone on. But she's flip-flopped between all the computers. I got no idea. And I don't remember it being said where the Mac fitted in this. It might be the wife's Mac. It may be, I don't know.
You would want him to see his kids. And the judge said that parental rights are like a really big thing and that she wasn't prepared to strip him of his rights because there was no evidence thus far that anything had happened.
No evidence thus far. Listen to, oh no, she's disgusted. So she's now going to complain about the judge letting him out, obviously.
I'm just like irritated by that because this was a newer judge that has not been on the bench for very long.
Oh, of course. A newer judge who doesn't know what they're doing, of course. There was no evidence that he'd hurt his children.
They still haven't been, they haven't been evaluated. I don't think they've been evaluated. Now, there's a stipulation in his, they put in a protective order, okay? So they issued a protective order for the child victims in this case, and they said that we will not be able to know the identities of the victims, which we shouldn't because they're minors. There was a stipulation in there about his own children. And so it does sound like child advocate groups or a guardian ad litem might be involved in this case. And if that's the case, if they testify about one of his children at trial, that won't be protected under the protection order. So if they do an evaluation of the kids and they find that one of his children are victims of his, that will come out in court, maybe.
Why are you even speculating about this? You can't speculate. Well, she'll blame it's Trump next, Kim. She'll blame Trump.
Yes. It's pretty scary. So we have been very, very busy here. We're at almost an hour. Can you guys just tell me if you like these longer streams? I've been getting a lot more questions about these longer streams, wanting to do more longer streams, wanting to have deeper dives into things like this related to the evidence in this case.
Longer streams? I've done 3 hours.
We can do these deeper dives and dive in.
An hour's nothing. She's had 10 drinks in an hour. I've had 1 drink in 3. Sorry,
Really?
2 drinks in 3.
No, that was not the trial judge. The trial judge is Timothy Brooks, I believe. He will get less time. Now, they don't get a ton of less time when they take a plea deal because they still have to serve X percentage of their sentence with federal cases. So they can get reduced sentences, but it's not reduced that much.
No.
You love the deeper dives. Okay, please.
Oh, okay. So she's a lawyer.
Love when I interact with you directly. Well, I love that.
So I love this live streams. Love when you interact with us directly, but she doesn't. Only if you pay her money, she does. There was no Mac. It was an Apple iPhone. So then if there was no Mac, how did the iPhone sync the emails to the judge who's unbiased by knowing anything about the show is probably what they wanted. Probably.
To Lisa, yay! The video will not be taken down. So they are going to wait. Yes. Miss Quinn says most of the things that they require you to give them content to get access. I feel like the kids or siblings are victims. Yeah. A lot of the peer-to-peer sharing networks, they also have to like share information. So he would have to upload stuff to that network as well. So yeah. Does he? No, he can't have access to any electronics. No phones, smartphones, anything with an internet. Okay. So I want to thank you all for being here today. We actually are almost at 1,000 likes We got 2,800 of those. So make sure you hit the like button. Could you catch me up on what happened? Michaela, make sure that you rewind because this is a long stream and this was a lot to go through. If you're interested in the daisy destruction stuff and it's not for the faint of heart, Australia's 60 Minutes did an interview with Peter Scully. If you like go onto YouTube and you do Peter Scully 60 Minutes, you can actually get understanding of the daisy destruction stuff. It is not for the faint of heart. I like the reviews to see what's going on with the Duggars. All right. He doesn't really, yeah, this is my concern too. This is my concern too. She never said she herself have seen those files. She was reading from the court documents. Go rewatch it. It took me 2 seconds to get the truth. Yeah, I've never seen these images. I've never seen these videos. I'm reading from the court documents. And then if you watch Peter Scully's 60 Minutes episode, you can read, like you can hear about this case and why this content is so awful. I have never, ever, would never, no way. The details are really tough. Court documents are all available on the PACER website, which is the federal court system, and you can set up an account with PACER and you can buy court records. I think it's like 10 cents per page. So, you know, this one, I don't even know, maybe it's 10 cents a page. So if you're downloading like 300 pages, you know, it could be like $30 or something like that, but nothing serious. Yes, and the 60-minute female host, and she did a very good job, and she interviewed him, and he's crazy.
Get my country out of your mouth.
It's probably split. You can probably watch both. I don't know. But yeah, the PACER website has all of the court records. So that's where we're at for tonight. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure on your way out, you click on that like button. Make sure you've subscribed. We've been doing more and more of these longer streams. You guys are enjoying them, and it gives me some time during the day to do some other stuff. For all of you guys that contributed super chats, and for those of you that became members, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we were able to reduce and not have a lot of trolling tonight, which makes my job so much easier. Thank you guys. Thank the mods on your way out. Thank them for keeping the chat clean. Good. I want to thank you guys all for being super respectful and nice to each other in chat. That makes our job so much easier. We love you here at Without a Crystal Ball. We cannot do this without you, and we are so happy that you tune into us every single day. And when I say us, I'm talking about my mods, and I'm talking about my husband, who behind the scenes is constantly helping me do this job the best I can. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe on the way out, and turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next live. All right, you guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Bye. She said that she was the only one that worked on Without a Crystal Ball. That's got leave Australia alone. I know, keep Australia out of your mouth. Nick off. That's getting a dislike for me. That was horrid. That's getting. How is that monetized is what I want to know. Yeah, all right. So I'm on that note, and I'm really sorry to end on that horrible note. I'm going to head off. I've got to go to bed. It's midnight now. It's Thursday morning. So in 5 hours, curfew ends, and I can leave the house again. I don't know. See, the thing is, well, that's true. Doesn't need to monetize it because she's got super chats. I don't know. I don't know why that hasn't been demonetized. I can tell you now, my video will have been. My live streams, I usually have to put in for manual review. So this one will probably get demonetized. That's fine. I can live with that. So are you interested for me getting the harassment order documentation, I guess is the next question. There we go. Look, told you. I'll just show it to you, see? And I'm not even going to bother. See? It's demonetized already. See? This video is running on limited or no ads due to content identified as not suitable for most advertisers. So that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how hers
gets monetized and mine don't. Yes, 4 hours and 4 hours and 58 minutes. I can leave the house again. Hi, Cindy. So, yeah. But anyway, all right. So thank you. I know I am up, but I'm just about to head off. So I'm sitting at 2,244. It's 100 and, well, I just converted it. So it's $120 US, and then I've got to get it here. I've got a courier. So it might be less than 250 Australian, but I don't know. I know that a few people on Twitter did offer to contribute to help pay for it, but as I said, I want to see what she does with her. I would say if you can do it with member money. Yeah, the thing is, a YouTuber only pays once a month, and so by the time I get paid again, the next time round, it could be another month gone. I don't know. I wasn't going to do it, but after that stream, I'm a bit curious as to what on earth she's put in that harassment in. Oh, really? For the documents? Okay. All right. Well, I'll make a decision and let you know. As I said, I haven't decided. I sort of am having a conscious bit of a crisis at the moment. A conscious crisis. But then we would only be getting the public documents. The documents, they've said that there are documents that aren't public. So we'd be just getting the public documents. So anyway, okay, cool. The harassment order against LMN, all those documents filed. All right then, cool. All right, well, I'll put something on the community tab if I need to. All right. I was saying that I wrote to the court to find out whether the harassment order against LMN, whether those documents were public, and they told me it was going to be $120 to get the documents. There's 15 documents. And so there's 15 documents, and then I have to pay by credit card, and then I have to get them sent to me. So I would have to get them couriered to me because I don't know what the US Postal Service is like, or what the US Postal Service is like, but the Australian Postal Service sucks. And I don't trust it. So I would probably need to use a courier company to get it here, to get them here, is what I'm saying. So I have a US address that I have. I have a locker, and I could just get them to courier it to me. But that's fine. But as I said, I'm still just deciding what to do. All right, I'll make a decision tomorrow, and I'll let you all know. And yeah, we'll see what we can do. All right, thank you all for joining me, and I'll catch you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.